Welcome to the Back to Brick Property Podcast. I'm your host, David Lamb. On this podcast, we'll be stripping property investors and business people alike back to brick to find out how their journey can help you on your journey.
This podcast is brought to you by Orange Sales and Lettings. If you know someone that is looking to sell or let a home, please get in touch. Referral fees are available. Terms and conditions apply.
Welcome to the Back to Brick Property Show. I'm your host, David Lamb. Today's show is sponsored by Orange Sales and Lettings. Today we have DARRYL Cullerton on the show, an investor and developer from Sunderland. He's absolutely smashing it. Welcome, DARRYL. Nice to meet you.
Good morning. Thanks very much for having us in, David. Much appreciated. Can't wait to have a chat.
Yeah, I really appreciate you coming on, mate. We were introduced by a mutual friend and commercial agent that we both buy property through.
Yeah, that's correct.
And the first name she mentioned, mate, was you.
Yeah. Out
of everyone. And she started telling me a bit about you. I was like, right, I've got to have him.
Yeah.
Got to have him on. And then, so I found you on Instagram, and you're quite new to the socials as relatively I am.
Brand new, David.
Yeah,
to be fair,
yeah.
I've always just worked behind the scenes, just trying to learn my craft.
Yeah.
Because I think it's a very complex area, property.
Can be, yeah.
I think, and obviously as you grow through property and you want to evolve and be better at things, you come across more headaches and more tasks.
Yeah.
And I just feel like I couldn't talk about them back then because I didn't understand it. I still don't understand everything now.
No, you never will.
But I've got a good indication now where I can give knowledge to people and help people and like move forward, really.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting because what we were just talking about off camera was, you know, the fact that we've both got years of credibility and never done anything with it online. And you see someone go out, like you said, do a crash course on buy-to-lets, buy a buy-to-let, and then all of a sudden they're selling courses online.
I just think, obviously, I think everybody needs education, but I think what can be learnt in a classroom over 1 to 3 days, it's just, you need to be insulated with somebody who is involved in property. That's how I learned, being surrounded by people who've been in the game a long time.
Right.
Because I personally think you could break the fundamentals down in property in an hour. Like, that's my honest opinion.
Yeah.
That's just
like the logic
of property, and how it works. Where I feel I see so many people who get involved in the crash course side of things, who then think they're able to go out there and get involved in a commercial development, which is a different ball game altogether to your traditional vanilla buy-to-lets. Because you need to have a lot of experience as well in the renovation side, have the correct builders on side. Have you got your valuation correct? Have you got your builders correct?
Your architects, your planning consultants.
Everything, ecology, noise assessments, you know, and just go on and on.
It's going to get worse and worse, isn't it?
Yeah. So I think last time I touched base with somebody, when us were chatting about commercial developments, is how I do see a lot of clickbait. I bought a property for £1.
Yeah.
You haven't. You've exchanged contracts at £1, but you've got an agreed amount that you've got to pay once planning's passed.
And you've already spent 20 grand on fees for the architect.
So have you got the option of running through pre-planning, or have you got to be ballsy and have you got to jump in on full planning? Because that's also a risk as well.
Of course it is, yeah, without a doubt.
But obviously you get to that point by starting at the beginning.
Of course you do, yeah. We'll get to that, mate. We'll get to that. So, first of all, mate, I want to go, the podcast called Back to Brick, and literally I want to start from the beginning.
Yeah,
I want to know, so what was life like growing up?
I had a good, strict firm. Dad was the provider, the protector. My mum was the mother. And when I was 17, we lost my mum to cancer, like leukemia. But obviously my mum left us a letter. She left my brother a letter. And I stand by everything she wrote in that letter to this day.
Wow, okay.
So everything that I do is obviously what she asked us to do in that letter.
Wow.
Because I'm from an environment, like where I come from, where there's very few success stories. Just a pit village in Castletown.
Right.
So that's where I started. And I had a really extensive amateur boxing career before I got involved in property.
Right.
So I feel like that really helped us as well, to evolve into the person I am today. Yeah. But outside of property, I also run a mechanical and electrical company. And we employ about 50 people.
Right. Oh wow.
So because I'm against the full thing of property can replace your job. I think property's a side hustle to a degree. Yeah. Because I feel like I can do everything from site visits to managing spreadsheets and the full program of property. And I've got my own management company. which I don't outsource it. I employ my own.
Your own property management company?
My own property management
right,
company,
okay.
yeah.
Fair enough.
That'll collect rents, then infiltrate them down into the investment companies.
Yeah.
So I look at property as a side hustle, but a side hustle that has grew massive. That's like for me, from where I'm like at now.
Yeah.
But obviously my first ever property that I bought, David, was in 2008. And at the time, it was just before the crash. 100% mortgage. My dad managed to get us a 100% mortgage at Lloyd's TSB. So I'll have been 18 at the time when I bought my first property. And I like put a low ball offer in and it got accepted. And I was like, wow. But this was for me to live in. The property world wasn't even thought about then.
Right.
This is where I was going to live. I just wanted to be out of the house.
Yeah.
So I bought that. Then I'd been living there 2 years and I wanted to move into property. And I knew the only way I could move into property was by sacrificing myself, by moving house. And I moved back in with me nana for 10 years. And then I started property from there.
You moved back in with your nana to save up the funds?
To save up the funds, yeah.
Right, okay.
But what I'd done, like one of the hacks that I'd done back then was I owned a personal residence. So I then approached the bank and says, I'm working away. Can I get a right to rent, so to speak? Can I get a right, like sort of let me property?
Yeah.
And once I got that letter, I could then go back to my broker and then look for another house.
Right. For yourself to
For
live
me,
in?
but it's not for myself to live in.
Right, okay.
I found like a little bit of a loophole where I thought, well, I can have two buy-to-lets here. One, I haven't given a deposit for, and two, I can be in for 10%.
Brilliant.
So then that's when I moved into my second property.
Right.
And I bought a house in Town End Farm, local to where I live.
Yeah, yeah.
And I remember I paid 64,000 for it. And I was working with some old school landlords. And like, I says, I've just bought such and such, blah, blah, blah. They went, you've spent far too much money on that. And I was like, no, you're joking.
And where'd you found these landlords, these old school landlords?
It's people who I still work with today.
Right.
But like different kettle of fish.
You met them at work?
No, through my dad's friends.
Right, okay.
So them have been like, they were heavily involved in property. But this is like one thing I'll always say. I feel like you can read everything that's on the news. You can read everything that's on the internet. I think if you feel that it's the deal that's going to work for you when you've done your due diligence, that's a classic example of how I took no notice of what them said. It was valued at 64,000 15 years ago, and it's just being valued at like 135,000 in a recent revaluation. So that's just nigh on doubled what it was worth, and them thought I'd overspent. Yeah. But obviously the doubt thing come into my mind. Yeah. Have I actually overspent? Yeah. But like looking back, I didn't. And it was a successful venture that later went on. Then even my first property, with us having no leverage in it, because it was 100% mortgage, it grew over time, and then it gives us the feasibility that once it gained that 25% leverage, I flipped it into a limited company. Right, okay. Just for obviously which way the world start changing later on. Yeah. I'd done it over a 4-year term. Yeah, I was going to ask you there, do you still own property in your own name? Not no more. Nothing? Nothing. Right, okay. Just my own personal residence. Right. I'd done it heavily. I heavily start like moving into limited companies. So did you sell your personally owned stuff into your limited companies, did you? But I had to do it. I'd done it in a way with obviously with the capital gain structure as well. Yeah. So obviously if I could offset some of my capital gains against the purchase price, then it obviously limited the liability there. I would have to pay to be accountant. So it was something that was done like very acutely over a 4-year term. Yeah. Because you used to get capital gain, there's a threshold, there was a 12.5 grand threshold or something, wasn't there? Yeah, obviously they're taking that off us now. Yeah. I think it's 500 quid now. Yeah, so I'd done it over that term. I blew really, but I just looked at the bigger picture. Yeah. I thought, I'm not in this for the short run. Yeah. So I need to get this right now, just so it doesn't catch us later on. Yeah. And you know as well as me now, can you imagine being a southern investor, owning a shitload of property in your personal name and getting caned 20 to 40% tax? No. There's bankruptcies like left, right and centre. 100%, yeah. So did you start doing that before the tax changes then? Yeah. Did you? Yeah. So what gave you that insight to do that? To be fair, obviously one of the directors who worked for our company, he come from Balfour Beatty as like a commercial. He was a commercial director at Balfour Beatty, but very switched on with his numbers. Right. And he's like, I've got my strengths and Paul's got his strengths, and he was the one who says, this is which way you need to play this. Right. And I'll always listen to people, like around us. I was going to say, you had some good people around you, didn't you? In that, but
you listened.
Yeah.
And I'm sure that good advice was given to other people,
Yeah.
and they did nothing with it. So yeah, it's all right getting good advice, but you need to take it on board. Don't
Yeah,
you?
definitely 100%. Yeah.
Yeah. So your mechanical electrical firm then,
Yeah.
how did that come about?
Started that. My dad started that in year 2000 in a coal house in Castletown.
Right.
I still own the house. It was my granddad's house.
Right.
And now obviously we own the factory in Durham. And we employ like in between 50 to 60 lads. 30 to 40 of them will be currently working on like Nissan on the new Envision development. And obviously we do a lot of maintenance frameworks for North Yorkshire County Council, Sunderland City Council. Like we'll work for a lot of Stonegate pubs, Admiral taverns, Punch taverns.
Yeah.
We do a lot in-house as well as maintenance.
Yeah.
So we've got 2 arms. So that grew from a escort van in a back lane in Castletown to like quite a substantial size mechanical and electrical firm now based in Durham.
Brilliant.
So
The skills and that business will stand you in good stead as well when you're doing your commercial developments and
it does, yeah.
your knowledge and your...
It's like before I got to the commercial developments, it was like everyone always speaks about now your day-to-day, let's buy a property, let's make 200-300 quid, stack them up to 10, we're netting £3,000 a month, like life's good. My biggest turning point was something that me and you just touched base on before you come on camera, was when I went into buying, like, from my local area, newsagents and flats. But I was buying big flats and a big newsagent, pet store, whatever you would like.
Yeah.
And I thought, for the same money I'm paying for a council house in Town End Farm, Castletown, Hilton Castle, I can buy a shop and a flat, and I can take that flat into 2 flats, and I can get 3 bites of the cherry.
Yeah.
So that to me was a massive turning point in my property career, where I was always scared of the commercial sector because it was bigger deposits, and at the time, like every penny counted. But then when I went into that realm, I was getting 3 doors for under 1 freehold title.
How far along your journey did you transition into commercial?
I would think
It seems like you did really...
about 5 years.
Was it? Yeah, it's not a long
I would
time.
say I
then.
was about 25 when I went on a little bit of a tangent really of like them sort of developments.
Yeah.
But like I've been in like so many predicaments, David, where I remember my first commercial development I ever done. So valuation come in, stacks, brilliant. I've put me lot in to get this right, used my own money to carry out the renovation. I'm a week off completing. I was actually out jogging. My broker rings us, so I'm jogging. Darryl, the bank has just rang. They've done a drive-by and they've no longer got the appetite to fulfill. But this is the things that you don't see, you know, in the property world, David.
Everyone thinks it's easy.
That's never explained. So therefore, they'll agree to 75% on a semi up and down. They'll give you 55% loan to value. Now, pulling 20% out of that deal killed the deal.
Yeah.
I remember just stopping. I remember the point. I just stopped dead in my tracks, and I just thought, oh no, this is a property nightmare. This, but then over time, I spat my dummy out. I said, stick your offer up your arse. Didn't want it. It's not good enough for me. Then I went back to NatWest. I went to NatWest, not the original person who I'd agreed the deal with through me broker. And I says to me bank manager, I said, will you look at this deal for us? That's the valuation. It's being done off Sanders and Weatherall. That's where I stacked. And he done the deal for us within 7 days. That's where I think you're coming into the market, new property man. I always run 3 offers on any property.
Right.
So if I go to me broker, what's the best deal out there? I'm not interested in the best deal, David. I want 3.
Right.
And if I get a free val and I've got to pay 350 and 350 and I've got to risk 700 quid, that's my 700 quid that I've risked. But I've never, ever seen this trip was over.
Is that what you do? Yeah.
Do it all the time.
Right, okay.
It's like, do you know if you were going to get an extension done on your house?
Yeah.
Would you tap the first offer?
Well, no. It's a good point.
Exactly, aye.
Yeah.
So I've always risked that 700 because I can have one who's undervalued us, I can have one who's asked for a timber and damp report, and I can have another one come in saying, aye, that's your number, you can have it.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a fair point. Can't argue with that. And, you know, 700 quid, it's nothing, is it?
Peanuts, really, in the grand scheme of things.
Yeah.
And I've always seen it. I've always seen it work. I've always just says I want 3 on everything, and it's my cost.
Yeah.
So if I've got to pay you another 195 quid twice, so I'm all in for a grand. Give us the 3 offers. I want to see them.
You're right, yeah. So, how old were you when you started the mechanical electrical business?
From being an apprentice, really, from leaving school.
Right, okay. Wow, okay. So, you've done that. Obviously, the business is going well.
Yeah.
Why property?
Strict dad. Thought I need my own income here. If I ever had a fallout, I want to be my own man, you know.
Yeah.
I want to be able to. But the one thing that helped me evolve was my dad got a shock at how well I ran my property businesses on compared to being a site man, and then said that you need to be in the office because obviously I'm very particular how I run everything. You know, our spreadsheets, files, everything's marked, labelled. I also, as well as being able to pull off the computer, I'm old school as well, David. I like to go to a file. I like to see EPC, fire risk assessments,
like
tenancy
that,
agreements.
yeah.
I like the best of both worlds, and some people laugh, but I prefer that action.
Yeah.
Then if the lady or the man's off who's working for us, I haven't got to look for passwords and find out where she stored anything, or if somebody's hit by a bus, I can go into my old school DARRYL file and just go, there's everything there, EPC's there, tenancy's there, CP12, EICR. I can physically grab that rather than sending someone in the office and say, go and have a look on such and such's computer. You should be able to find it somewhere.
Yeah.
I want to be able to walk in that office and pick a file up and get access to that file without needing to access anybody's computers.
So your dad saw that you were a businessman. You need to be in the office running the show rather than out on
exactly
on the
that.
sites. Yeah.
But then the turning point come again, where we had grown the business and me and my dad's crashing a little bit.
Yeah.
So then it was like, well, we want to push the company forward. And I feel like it's better if the younger team bring it through. So then my dad retired.
Right.
And then we pushed the company on.
Brilliant.
But I think my dad obviously basically said he took the business to a point as far as he could take it. And then I think it gets like that with most people.
Yeah.
And then you've got to employ better people. Like, I'm not talking about myself. I'm talking about we employed different directors that will come in and help grow the business. Because once you get into the commercial world, you get into a different cross-section agreements, dealing with accounts and all kinds of different stuff, you know. So we had to grow that way.
Yeah, well, you see it with the biggest companies, don't you? Like Gymshark springs to mind. Like the guy, Ben Francis started it, got it to a point, and then he just brought someone in who he knew was better than him. Yeah. So now they run the company for him.
I see this all the time. It's like where I'm at in property now. I'm competing against teams, so I would be just totally ignorant if I thought DARRYL CULLERTON can go out there and compete against teams, even though I feel like I'm fully capable of doing it. I'm just putting more weight on myself. Yeah. I want a team behind us where if I'm my team's stronger than their team, so I feel like we can pull this deal together. Where if you're on your own, David, I feel like you are exposed because everything falls back to you. So on some of the deals now, obviously I've got a good team around us.
Who do you class as your team then?
I've got my brother, who's rock solid. I've got Paul Cook, who's director, and obviously all my trades that work behind us. Yeah. And there's other investors that I work with. A guy called Phil, who I do a lot of business with. But these are the kind of guys who they've worked with us since day one. Yeah. And if I see I can do something, I can generally do it. Yeah. Because one of the things that I see a lot of, people selling deals, not deal sourcing. They'll advertise a deal online. This is your end valuation. Where are you getting that from? Because David, obviously, you're in the property game. I've seen people who's done a computer course and come to value a property and has got no idea of the local area. No. And they come and give you a valuation and you just feel like saying to them, go and find us 10, I'll have them all off you. Yeah. If that's how much you can get them for.
I know, yeah. I know that feeling.
So I'm very particular as well of what panel I'll select for valuations. I'll basically say to me, but if I've got to pay another 1%, I'm willing to pay that 1% as long as I get the panel and the valuer that are not and carry out the duty in that area and give you a fair valuation. Yeah. Because on so many occasions, you've only got to look at your general vanilla stuff. If that sways 10%, that 10% is huge.
It's make or break.
Yeah. Exactly, 10% 100 grand property. Yeah. That could just totally kill your recycle. Yeah. Because that's what people's essentially doing, recycle. And I feel like if I want to go out and recycle cash for myself in a vanilla, I can do it. Yeah. But I don't think I would do the same if I was promising the service to somebody else. I care too much. Because I know that valuation can fall. Yeah. So where does the book lie then? Yeah. You've given me 6, 7, 8 grand. I found you the deal that I think stacks up. You've getting one valuer in who's come in and hasn't given you a fair shake of the handle. Now, have you lost that relationship with that investor? Is he just going to think, well, he just taxed us there for 8 grand, and he hasn't given us, I haven't getting the valuation what he said I'd get.
Yeah.
So,
but it's out of your hands.
but it's out my hands. Yeah.
Yeah.
I've been offered so many opportunities that I've just because I wanted to work for people.
Yeah.
I didn't want people. I didn't want to just. I'd rather not have the 8, the 5, or whatever it is, and people think I'd work with that kid because he's a proper kid. He's telling us as it is.
Yeah.
Well, like the amount I had someone from London the other day. He was nigh on begging us to sell some properties.
Right.
I just said I haven't got the time. But I haven't. Like
At least you're honest.
I haven't at this moment in time, and for me to be out there sourcing and trying to backwork the numbers of how I would perceive a deal should be sold here, it's not worth the $5,000 because I'm on my own stuff in the commercial world.
Yeah.
Where we're renovating apartments, retail units, serviced accommodation, hosting stays, assisted living, and like I want someone to benefit from what I tell them, rather than think, well, I've been downvalued. Now this is where I come back to my original point on getting 3 valuations. I feel like a new person in the market getting that first valuation and it was down, I think their legs would wobble.
Oh, 100%. Yeah.
Like standing the account.
Yeah.
That's why I try to see it. Like, cool your jets, go back to your broker, risk another valuation, another one. If you've getting 3 and they've all come out the same, hard lines.
Yeah.
But at least you've had 3 opinions on that property before you fold. And every time I've told my pals today that, who I've helped in property just by just giving them advice, having coffees and stuff like that, the second valuations come in spot on. Yeah. Thank you. The first one needed a timber damp report and he downvalued us by $20,000. Second one was class. And I says, do you know that property high you're feeling now? Bottle it. Because it's few and far between how often that happens.
Yeah.
And obviously you know what it's like, you know, when a val comes in.
Oh, it's gut-wrenching, isn't it? Yeah.
God, thank God for that. But when you get a bad one,
yeah.
it's just like, you're winding me up, aren't you?
Yeah. And it's so much of it, there's so much variation in the valuations as well. Like you'll know better than me because you get 3 on them all. But you know, he could have had an argument with his missus on the morning before he turns up. He just knocks you down 10%.
Oh,
there's a human element there, isn't there?
This is the best one ever, right? Like, so obviously, my own house, I bought it. I paid X for it. I spent X on it. At the time, the market was up, so I had two proper full-blown valuations with deals on the back of it. So I looked at them. They were like 6s and 7s, just 6s and 7%.
Yeah.
I was like, I didn't really need the money yet. Obviously, I'm going to need it soon, but I'm going to ride this storm a little bit. So I've had estate agent valuation, a RICS valuation. I've had 2 solid offers, so I've got 4 offers on the table. I know what my house is worth.
Yeah.
So I can't wait. I'm gonna go for it now because it's settled a little bit. I can lock in at 5%. I want to run the 2 year. I've got a year left on it because I think by 2025, 2026, if I project this correctly, I'll get onto a decent deal.
Yeah.
Right now, but that valuer comes out, walks about my house, brand new, top to bottom, gets the valuation in, 650 grand down from the 4 other valuations that I had carried out on my property. So I'm driving the car, like, you know, when you read it, I'm like, are you taking the mickey? Like,
on what justification?
Just because he could. So he was, I says, shows your comparable. We obviously went back to him, said, are you joking? He took the valuation up to just below the million mark, because once you supersede $1 million, it then affects PIs. It's got to be signed off by other people.
Yeah.
So obviously by then, Harpend in the bank, who was carrying out me mortgage, went, hold on a second here, you've just lifted this valuation, 150 or 190 grand, without even arguing the comparable evidence you've sent us versus a 6,000 square foot house compared with 2,000. The night and day area, you're a mile out. So then the bank come back to us and says, like, on this occasion, this is, if you can research this, you're not online, and it's very, very unlikely, David, that you'll get the opportunity to get a reval.
Yeah, I know.
Because he jumped up that high, that quick. The bank went, do you want a reval?
Yeah,
reval. So 2 weeks later, reval, bang. Deal done.
And you got it done.
Just like that.
Honestly, it's so annoying. Honestly, I could talk all day about values and the bad experiences I've had. So you've got that entrepreneurial spirit from birth. I can tell. Like, obviously, your dad was the same way.
Yeah.
So that's obviously where it was born from. You've took over the family business. You're running it yourself. It's going well. You've stepped into property. what were the first sort of deals looking like that you bought?
Just it was your general stuff. I had a theory in my head where I would never buy over 70 grand.
Right.
That was me cut out. That was me cut out number.
What year was this?
This will have been from 2010, probably moving up to 2016, 17.
So you could do that below 70 grand.
That was my number.
Yeah.
So it was a lot easier, but you didn't have as many people in the market either buying for other people.
Yeah.
So I think the turning point come for me in COVID, where I just thought, well, it's pointless even trying to compete here. So many people's getting bounce back loans.
Yeah.
People's coming out to Nissan who's got no experience in property whatsoever, coming in on an investment property and giving over ask. So I just retired totally from them sort of deals.
Right.
The only deals I was buying was stuff where people would ring us and say, "Darryl, will you give us X for this?"
Yeah.
I don't want to. I bought a couple that way.
It's a no-brainer.
Yeah, so I was turning them to HMOs, flipping them onto 5-year leases, and then I just got bored, David. I wanted at every aspect in my life, I want to evolve. I didn't want to be just good at buy-to-lets. I don't want to be just good at HMOs. I don't want to be just good at serviced accommodation. I want to work my way up and find out how you move up the ladder.
Yeah.
But how that, because the top companies doing property for cash. I see all these posts that they're doing for the community and stuff like that. But we all want to better the properties in the community, but in the same breath, we also want to make a little bit as well.
Yeah.
Because the one thing I will say, you may make 300 quid a month on a property, but your boiler gun's off at the end of the year.
Gone. Year's profit gone.
Gone.
Yeah.
History. And that's how I try to educate people sometimes. And like I didn't make all that money, you know. And do you know when your rents just went up marginally, I haven't got the opportunity where I can ring the bank and say, "You can't put me mortgage up." Like, it's happened to me in my house. It's happened to me across my portfolios. I feel like I was extremely fair, David, because when things changed, I done over a 4-year term. I said, I'm going to move them up over a 48-month period.
Right.
So it's minimal.
And they know what's coming.
So you know what's coming. I'm giving you 4 years worth of planning.
Brilliant.
And I hurt myself in that process, but I thought, well, this is the area that I'm from, so I'm not going to put anybody under strain. I'm going to say, there's your 4-year plan.
Yeah.
This is where we're working now.
Yeah.
And after year 3, you get them start spitting the dummies out. But I'm like, well, I know, but I tell you is this. Like, people done this on day dot. I've done this over a 4-year term.
Yeah.
So, but now we're there, and I even like some of my rents that I've got now, I say, just look on Rightmove.
Exactly.
You can't get a council house for less than 800 quid.
No, we do that. Whenever we put tenants' rent up for our own houses or the management portfolio, the tenants kick up a fuss. I'm not paying that. Some of the rents haven't gone up for 2-3 years. Kick up a fuss. No, I'm not paying the new rent. Phone down. 2 days later, I'd like to stay on that new rent because they've been on Rightmove.
Because they can't find
rents
anything.
Rents have gone mental.
Yeah.
But they're only going to get worse because obviously landlords are dropping out the market left, right, and centre, and it's just going to keep putting upward pressure on rents.
Yeah.
So uncertain times ahead. So you're pretty much like me. Then you've never done any property training courses and nothing like that. I'm the same, very old school. Just sort of learnt on the job. Maybe there was some negatives involved in that. Maybe it cost me more money in the early days than I could have done, but I wouldn't change it for the world, to be honest. A lot of my guests have been on property courses and I have done very well out of them, to be fair.
Yeah.
But I guess by chatting them on here, I'm cherry picking the successful ones. I think 99% of people go on the property course, spend 25 grand, and then realise that 25 grand hasn't made them rich.
Yeah.
And they have to work, and they just fall by the wayside. That's my opinion, anyway. So geographically, where have you been investing? As you started buying buy-to-lets. You bought a street, didn't you?
It's not a street. I own 9 on a street.
Right, okay.
I bought them off an old school investor.
Right.
To be fair,
I assumed so. I thought it must be a landlord.
Yeah, it was. I think I give 38.5, like a colliery house at the time.
House.
Yeah, and obviously the valuation just went up massively on them. When I say massively, we're talking like 80 grand, which is not massive, but over the term I've owned them, I bought well because he couldn't be bothered to market them. He wanted rid of them. I knew him. And obviously I'd done a deal with him.
How did you know? Did you know him personally through work?
Not through work. Was one of my dad's friends.
Right. Okay.
At his pump, he'll have probably owned over 300 properties.
Right. Okay.
But he's hands-on.
Right.
So he's like rigger boots.
Yeah.
Travis Perkins hat. You know, every deal away. Like, if he walked past you would just like, you know, if you had that opinion on somebody. But he's
proper
like,
old school landlord.
Proper, like, he doesn't mess about.
You don't see many of them anymore, do you?
No. If he's walks in an auction room, he's asking where the free sarnies and capes are and stuff like that.
I love that.
But he's absolutely class, like, and I've done deals with him where like he's went like, Daz, like what? commercial property I've just bought. I want 1.5 for it. I'll sign it out to you. Just pay us next year. I've done like loads of deals like in that aspect with him as well, where he's given me a property.
Brilliant.
But obviously, I used to go to the land registry and do the transfer for us. I didn't used to go through solicitors. He says, Daz, you should surely, if you're in the property game, you should know how to do your transfer and land registry. So I learned how to do a transfer and land registry, and I just created a draft file.
Yeah.
And when we were doing like a property transaction, I would create my file, and I would go in and do me APs, me ID ones and stuff like that, all in there. And I would even, like, to a degree, fill his out just so he could sign it and stick his picture on.
Brilliant.
So obviously I learned that way as well, you know, where like we're working through, I think you need to get wet. Yeah. And I say this all the time, like one of my pals is on with a renovation now, and he's like, I was talking to him the other day, and he's just like, he's doing things a little bit arseways. But I says, find your formula. Didn't ask me, find your route, and then you'll eventually come to your formula that works, like efficiently for you. Yeah. I says, this is where you learn, like right here now. Yeah. Because I see a lot of people who go on property who do like courses, and I'm not insulting education, because I think everybody needs education to a degree, but a lot of people want fast money. It's a 10 to 15 year framework, this. Yeah. And after 3 years, like you might go from doing 2 and 3 bedders to HMOs, so then the analytics totally change again. Yeah. You've just went your 3 year into a 10 year plan. You've changed your plan because you've seen a better way to diversify into property. Yeah. And then you've just increased another 10 year on top of it, but you're evolving and you're learning. Gosh, yeah. And you're understanding where you want to move forward. Yeah. And for me at this moment in time, I'm massively into Sunderland City Centre. Yeah. I've got quite a few conditional offers that's in with Sunderland City Council, planning department. Brilliant. So my contract is exchanged. Yeah. But obviously I learnt that through a friend who I know, because obviously I made a big balls up on a commercial development that I'm currently working on. Yeah. So
yeah, I wanted to ask you about that one, because conditional offers are great, aren't they? It gives you, you've got the deal tied up, but obviously a lot of the risk is mitigated. Yeah. Should shit hit the fan further down the line. But you bought a commercial property for cash, didn't you? Yeah. And you're still going through planning?
We've actually started work on it last week.
So it was a 3-year planning process, wasn't it?
So what we essentially done is we bought a commercial building, 4 shops and 4 offices, and we were going to put another floor on top of the building. Now, this is where you've got to be very careful, like with conditional offers, if you're removing roofs or changing roofs. I got bit through the ecology, the bat surveys.
Yes, massive.
So there's a certain time, I don't know whether it's in between May and August, where that's your loophole to get the bat survey carried out. Yes. So I think from August to May they're in hibernation. So we put a planning application together to install a 3rd roof, so we're creating 8 apartments and 4 ground floor retail units. Right. Obviously we're getting the green light on the pre-planning application. So submitted the planning application 4 days outside of the remit of the BAT, because the roof was getting removed, so therefore it warrants a BAT survey. Nothing to do with me, obviously I leave that in the hands of the architects, and the professionals who deal in that area. So if I'd had the BAT survey on that day, the hammer was falling on 8 apartments and 4 ground floor retail units. Yeah. It was a done deal. Fast forward 9 months, BAT survey gets done. I know there's no bats in it. The building's been fully stripped back to the rafters. Yeah. Puts it in. Someone else picks the planning application up, because the person who originally pre-agreed it had left the planning thingy. We've no longer got the appetite to install like the 3rd floor. So by now I'm thinking, this is a total nightmare. I've paid cash for it. So once I get planning passed on that building, my GDV has increased dramatically. Massively, yeah. I've then got 65 to 75% worth of costs I can draw down on the GDV. All agreed. So back to the drawing board, and I lost like another year backwards and forwards in planning. But as much as I lost 3 years carrying out that project, the lessons I learned is I couldn't pay for them. Yeah. As much as it had as sleepless nights.
Always the case, isn't it? Yeah.
The lessons I'd learned, and then I went down and once you start getting incorporated in the conditional offer world, just so much easier. Yeah. You just agree on a price, I'll pay you then, but I want a stopgap then. Because even if you didn't even want to carry out the development, I always give myself 2 to 3 months worth of breathing space before I paid them, subject to the planning permission being I could flip it.
Oh yeah, once you got planning through.
There you go. So I've got 3 months to play with here. Yeah. Push, do you want to give us 50 grand wages on this?
Yeah.
And I'll just move on. You can carry out the development.
How easy do you find it to get conditional offers over the line with the vendor?
I tell you, one of the reasons I get accepted on conditional offers is because I'm 110%, and everybody I've worked with, I've always come
So
up.
you've got that credibility already.
Exactly. So I'll get a rubber stamp off some of the agents because I've done that much business with them, David.
Brilliant.
And I've never hiccuped. I hate emails. If I shook you on now and I've done a deal with you, that's as good as anything for me.
Love that,
But unfortunately, we're in a world now where that doesn't
back
happen.
yourself up,
It happened. The classic example. When was it? I was approached by an agent who I work with really closely. They offered us a piece of land. Do you want to buy this land? I says, I'll give you X for it. Come back to us. We owe you another 4 or 5 grand on it, and that's the cherry on the cake. Right, no bother. They want to turn the screw a little bit and get paid a little bit quicker. So, yeah, no bother. In the solicitors, I speak to me architects. Can you do us a quick pre-planning schedule on this plot of land? Because I need to hit the ground running. So as soon as I exchange on Thursday, I want to be in for pre-planning on Friday, just so I didn't look a tit really to anybody. Thursday comes, what happens? Pulled out.
Yeah.
Just like looking, thinking, well, I've done 2 grand in fees, searches. Now I've been approached. I've agreed to the offer. I've put the cherry on the cake. I've run it through solicitors. I've had my pre-planned application drew up just so I hit the ground running, which is foolish of us really, because I've done it that many times, but you just think it's nailed on. Everything's answered through solicitors. Yeah. It's not nailed on until that exchange is being carried out. So I probably left myself open for like 2 to 3 grand. I work closely with the agent, so no doubt that 2 and 3 grand will come back in a different
without a doubt.
In a different way. So
10 times,
I didn't get upset that I didn't get upset that way.
No.
It was as I acted because I wanted to be on target, and that's just a classic scenario how you can also get bit in the conditional offer world.
Yeah, it needs to be watertight. So the one you bought cash and you finally got planning through.
Yeah.
Does that include removing the roof and
No, totally. Roof stays on.
Right.
We're just doing 4 apartments on first level floor, and 4 retail units, and obviously I'm opening an office myself on the ground floor.
Yeah.
I paid 155,000 for that. Now it's got a GDV on it of 800,000.
Brilliant.
So I'm playing with good numbers, really. You know.
What's your development costs looking at?
I've got a £500,000 pot to play with, like as per me spreadsheet. But I always like to put a little bit in my numbers just to cover us as well as the contingency.
Yeah.
Because obviously it's experience.
Yeah.
Like,
and no doubt that 800 GDV is slightly conservative as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but I know
so you're
that
edging your bets.
I know my exit.
Yeah. Exactly,
I'm returning because I'm over 50. I'm over 50% of retail.
Yeah.
So therefore, I'll get a 75% return.
Yeah.
But I'm working with a company called FW Capital on this one. It was obviously Northeast Funder, and obviously your local lenders, your general national lenders, kind of come near them.
Right.
In relation to terms, but my hurt's in the purchase.
Right.
So obviously I pay cash for my purchase, but then I say
100%.
Yeah, so now I get 70% GDV of the 800 grand.
Oh, right, okay. Oh, superb.
Yeah, so
brilliant.
obviously that helps me. I can get off 70% of 800,000.
Laughing.
But it's like you say, you come up against headaches in your renovations.
Yeah.
But the lads, the first week's always the worst week. Then I think second week, this week, there's just you get a lot of architects drawings, it's generics, copy and pastes.
Yeah.
I just wish somebody would write it on the back of a fag packet because that's how I feel like it's so easy to do.
And you get in, don't you, and you're like, what?
Aye, well, what does that mean?
Just put that wall there.
Aye, you've got to put we're putting acoustic board down, or we're putting 22mm dense board, chip board down.
Yeah.
Or what, you know, just like, I think it would be so much easier.
Yeah.
But they're just like, I always say in meetings, explain it to a 10-year-old. I didn't really want to be sitting there.
Yeah, and nothing gets missed.
And I just didn't want the waffle. Just like, explain to us so it makes sense. Because I think sometimes people are trying to lose you with big fancy words.
They do, yeah.
And I just want to know, right, what's going on the floor? 22mm chipboard. That paragraph was just unnecessary. Yeah. So that's
to justify the thousands of pounds of fees that you pay them.
And I'm just like, no, but obviously that's a great development that I've just started there, and obviously I've got 90% of the building let.
Yeah.
So I've got I always appoint interior designers on me development.
Right.
So we're working with Pulp Studios, who've just done the new Keele Tavern Bar in Sunderland.
Right.
Because I do a development, David. I want it to be the best development that I can bring to the city.
So you get the designers involved even in the commercial units, do you? Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So there's no blank canvas commercial units with you, is there?
No, not the ground floor level. The ground floor level is just, there's only one office that they're doing, and that's mine.
Right.
All apart hotels, yeah, but like managing apart hotels, I couldn't think of anything worse.
No.
It's not. I see all these big fancy numbers and that, and I just think, well, he's lying.
Yeah.
Like there's so many moving
gross.
parts. There's so many moving parts involved.
So who's going to manage your apart hotel?
I've got companies who literally want to sign the lease offers.
Right. Okay.
On the building, like that's what sort of investor I am.
Yeah.
I want to grow.
Hands off. Yeah.
I want to move. I don't want to be in laundry, meet and greets, and I know there's so many different ways you can do things now off iPads and stuff like that, but it doesn't stop your phone ringing at 12 o'clock to see that the heating's not working.
No, you're right there. All right, so we jumped ahead quite a bit there. That's my fault because I was getting excited about commercial deals. But so from there, those first buy-to-lets, how many of those did you sort of cut your teeth on before you got into HMOs and stuff like that?
I'll have been over 50 doors by the time I got involved in obviously the HMO market.
Right, okay. And why did you transition to HMOs? Just bigger numbers?
Not so much bigger numbers. I want to learn more. I felt like I got boring. Like it was just, they're not really big numbers. You know, like everyone gets excited online now because they've pulled a 20 grand out to move on to the next. Yeah. But I feel like you get to a point in any business where you think, well, you've got to be doing a lot of turning and churning to make that look like interesting numbers. Yeah.
It's like when you first buy it less and you're making 300 quid a month on each one. It's brilliant, isn't it? Yeah. Because you've gone from 0 to 300 quid a month on each one. Then you get to a certain point and you think, what's the point?
Aye. So that's exactly where I got. But I was quite lucky really because obviously I bought a small holding down in Barney Castle, and I renovated it, and then I got compulsory purchase offers.
Right.
So I made 1.1 million on that deal.
Did you?
And that was tax free because it was my own personal residence at the time.
Oh, superb.
But the letter literally, it's a queer story because obviously I tell you in the beginning of the story that I lost my mum. My mum and dad moved to Barney Castle and they moved over the road. And then my mum, our dream house was on the other side of the road. Now I watched this come down from 800 grand down to 300, and I nicked it for like just under 300 grand. Then obviously I sold it for 7 figures later on down the line.
What was the compulsory purchase for? Was it another road?
Widening the A66.
Right.
Yeah, so that was a good score for me.
Yeah, brilliant.
But that's
you make your own luck, don't you?
Yeah, you do. Yeah. And but that's where I didn't think £1 million a lot of money. It is a lot of money, but when you're involved in property, that can go in a week.
Doesn't go very far, does it?
If you're buying commercial developments and stuff like that, and you're carrying out big carrying out big renovation costs, it can just melt as quick as it come in. Yeah. So it was funny because I used to always work with old school landlords, and they'll be like, "What are you gonna do if you make your first 100 grand? What are you gonna do? You make your first 500. What are you gonna do when you make your first million?" And you're like, "I'll be shadowboxing. I'll have note on. I'll be running through the Metro Centre." They're saying I've made it, and they were like, "You know what you'll see?" And I'll be like, "Oh, what?" And I'll be like, "Oh, so
what's next?"
And I'll be like, "He's a mental. He is, man. He's not wired up right."
We talked about this earlier, that the goalposts just keep moving.
Do I?
At what point? Well, I'll come to that later on. I was going to say, at what point is it going to be enough? But we'll come to that. Yeah. So geographically, you've stuck to Sunderland, Birtley. You said Durham.
Durham, yeah. That's basically my area. But I had a really good meeting the other day with an assisted living provider who wants us to get incorporated with some stuff in Redcar.
Right. Okay.
And that's
it's a hot spot at the moment, Redcar. Yeah.
I don't even know any agents down there. I don't know if you're aware of that area because it could be a different conversation to be had. Yeah. In South Shields.
South Shields is good, up and coming massively. Yeah, we do a lot of refurbs in South Shields at the moment.
But it's like heads of terms are all agreed before you've knocked a nail in.
Yeah.
So I said, well, if that's the case, then we've just come into dialogue. So I said I'd be very keen, in getting incorporated in them sort of developments. Yeah. Because obviously, I just want to get bigger and bigger. But and also when I say get bigger, I do see some commercial. I'll look at a commercial development on how open it is. Because I know once wall starts coming down and roof start coming off, that's where your headaches come. Yeah, definitely. I'll look at something what's got solid structure, so it'll have solid foundations, walls. I love open. Yeah, me too. Because I just diversify that into rooms. Yeah, less problems. Exactly, Where the other ones, you might nick something cheap, but if there's a central section of a building got to come out and your load-bearing walls has got to start to be removed. Yeah. I'll walk away from them sort of stuff because I know that them's the ones that can give you your sleepless nights. Yeah, because then you've got somebody on site who's scratching their head, this could be 10, 20, 30 grand this, and you're standing there thinking, you have got to be winding me up. But that's why I'll only
Soon
look
adds
at
up,
certain things.
Yeah.
I love open.
Yeah.
Open because I know worst case scenario I'm putting steels underneath me floors, and then I'm building studs and creating.
It's a blank canvas, isn't it? You can just you can do what you want well within reason.
Yeah.
But brilliant, mate. And so have you ever stopped out at buying? Have you ever had like a break from it? Have you just been foot to the pedal since?
I wouldn't have said like stop buying totally, but when I had this hiatus with the commercial property that I bought, I took stock a little bit and just tidied everything up, because I got to a point where I was buying that much, David, where I thought that will slow down a second there, because this needs sorting, that needs sorting, and you're running ahead a little bit. So I just basically I always by the end of this year I'll have it neat and tidy, where me next venture, which I'm currently on with now, that's just straightforward. I had some bits of stuff where bed sits could be created, well, I'd never really getting onto, so I've been turning bed sits rounds and obviously not selling them, renting them as assisted living, because 1 bedroom properties at the minute, 5 years ago, David, I couldn't get anyone to go in them. I marketed one last week. Last month, there was 66 viewings on a 1-bedroom apartment.
Why? What's changed?
I think the bedroom taxes kill people as well. But I think a lot of people as well, because obviously I do quite a bit with assisted living in relation to the 1-bedroom, is people who's lived together. Now they're venturing out into the world.
Yeah.
And the one
easing them back into society.
Exactly, yeah. So they're more comfortable.
Yeah.
Your local authority and put them in a 1-bedroom.
I've had so many organisations come to me over the sort of last 5 years and ask me for 1-bedroom apartments, and I haven't had any. I've got 2s and 3s.
Yeah.
I've got maybe 1 or 2 1-beds, because like you said, they were never desirable. No. And they're literally crawling over, well, do you know anyone who's got any 1-beds? If you haven't, I'm like, what's going on? It's just,
I've got 5 under construction now. That's all gone to the local authority.
Are they? On long leases?
Just 5 year or a 3 year break.
Brilliant.
But you can get 7 and 7 and 20s as well.
Yeah.
But that's what we were talking about in Recca. 20-year lease.
It works anywhere, doesn't it?
Yeah. So I was shocked at like how, and obviously when I've turned like commercials up and down into 1-1, because obviously your national living standards has changed massively now. Why you get away with getting a 2 and 3 bedder? Yeah. It's not the case now.
No.
It's got to be 1-bedders. Yeah. But obviously there's such a demand for it, and if you can guarantee your return with a local authority for 5 years,
brilliant.
I think to myself it's a no-brainer really.
Yeah. I think 1-beds on the open market, they don't really work, do they?
No.
A single tenancy, whatever. But yeah, like you said, it seems to be, no matter where I go around the northeast, I'm sure it's the same nationally.
Yeah.
People are just, local authorities just crawling all over you for the 1-beds. Yeah.
No, they definitely are.
So they're giving people, I guess, that independence of having their own place, but obviously the cost isn't huge for them or for the authority. But so where are the main opportunities in the UK market right now, as you see? You've talked about assisted living quite a lot in this conversation already. Yeah. Is that?
I'm pushing on like host and stays as well, but obviously when I say host and stays, I'm talking about letting to a host and stay company who's reputable.
Yeah, so a short-term accommodation provider.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I'm totally hands-off. There's the package. It is what it says in the tin. I've worked with you before.
So they lease the full building?
The full building, yeah.
Brilliant.
Yeah, so obviously I've got one at the minute where I've got 6 bedrooms and 5's with a host and stay company, and 1's not. It's a long-term tenant who doesn't want to move.
Right.
But he whinges a lot, because obviously your host and stays is people who's coming to watch people sing, have a night out, they're loud, they're rowdy. Yeah. And it's like, I can put you somewhere else, but I didn't want to be anywhere else. And I'm like, I know, but you've got to help me. You got to help me a little bit here as well, because they've always been Airbnbs. Yeah. But I think there's a big difference between being Airbnbs and Booking.com. I've heard that obviously the Booking.com is a lot more rowdy than the Airbnb.
Seems
tenants.
To be, from my experience. Booking.com's a lot more contractors. Yeah. Airbnb's more people in the area to see family and do whatever. But yeah, Booking.com's pure blue collar workers, which is fine. But if you've got someone in there that it's their own place, it's their own home, then it's difficult, isn't it?
No, definitely. I'm going to have a heavy splurge in Sunderland City Centre for the next 10 years.
Yeah,
that's
me.
Me.
You keep that quiet.
Yeah, no, that's me. That's what I'm saying. But do you know what it is? I would sit here in front of so many different people, give them a blueprint, they'll knout about it.
True. Yeah.
Have you got it or not?
Yeah.
Like, I say this all the time.
Yeah.
The same people come to me when they've had a pint and want to get involved in property. Just like, do you know, if you were, I didn't mind talking to you, but you're not. You've been seeing it for 4 or 5 years. Yeah. You still haven't,
true,
you
isn't it?
haven't
Yeah.
got the bottle to do it.
Yeah.
Like,
It's like when someone tells you they've got a business idea and you
Yeah.
see them 6 months later, how's that business going?
Yeah.
Oh, I haven't done anything about it.
yeah, exactly. Aye.
Yeah.
So
People talk a lot, don't they?
Aye, so I want to see what I've got in there, and I want to see how far I can go before I need to take a step back and like bring other people in.
Yeah.
But it's just like I'm doing the same schemes, but it's on a different numbers.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think you go from like risking your 10, 20s, 30s, your 100s, 200s, then
Yeah.
you start getting incorporated in like your 7-figure developments. But I think there's a lot of money to be made, and I know some people do not like commercial to resi. For me, if the floor plan fits my criteria, I can make a fortune in there.
Yeah. Yeah, I've done a few commercial resi schemes myself, and I'm starting to buy commercial just
Yeah.
for commercial sake as well now, because I do like the idea of commercial, owning a lot more commercial
Yes.
property. I think there's a lot less government involvement. You know, the leases are more landlord friendly, longer leases, full maintenance contracts, etc. Obviously, if you get a blue chip company within one of your units, that increases the value of your building on the back of the lease. But when your criteria currently, I'm sure it's changed over the years as you've learnt more. When you're looking at commercial buildings now in city centres, for instance, or wherever, do you go in there with an open mind, as in, right, I'm going to look at the building and then I'll decide what I want to do with it? Or are you looking for buildings to suit your certain criteria, if that makes sense?
I'm looking for buildings to suit my criteria,
Right.
because I've done that much commercial developments, David, that I know the Red Bull valuation in the back of my head. So I know what an apartment carved up in the Sunderland City Centre will achieve.
Yeah.
So I always back work everything.
Yeah.
Like, I'll get to the end, then come back over
Yeah.
to see where I want to be. So if I know what a 1-bedroom apartment will achieve on a Red Bull valuation, and a 2-bedroom apartment, I'll get you from there.
Yeah.
So I'll think, well, if I go round numbers, say they're worth 120 and I can get 10 upstairs, well, there's 1.2 million. Downstairs, 2 commercial units, that might be in between 100 and 130 and 100 and 130 on the other side. So therefore, I've essentially got a 1.6 GDV development here.
Yeah.
Does it really need much work? Obviously, I've done loads of roofs, I've done loads of rendering, I've done loads of windows. So I'm a mechanical and electrical contractor myself. So if I think the structure fits, and I think, well, worst case scenario here is we're going to steel these underfloors, we're going to overboard them 22mm chipboard, we're going to build some gyprock stud walls, we're going to insulate, we're going to wire.
You know the costs in the back of your head all the way.
Yeah, so obviously I'm just looking at my spreadsheets and I'm thinking, well, that's achievable.
Yeah.
And I never ever go out to the market. I project manage everything myself.
Do you?
I just think that I've got 2 joiners that work for us as subbies, and then I run the jobs.
Right, okay.
Obviously both SMSTS, got the full package. I give them a set of drawings, I make sure the architect comes to site. I better buy through my wholesalers. I don't want to give 10-20% away to a big corporate.
Yeah, fair enough. If you got the time to do it.
Yeah, but it's, do you know, when even when people like elaborate on the time, I'll be looking if I'm there 2 hours a week.
Yeah.
You know,
Because you've got it down pat.
Yeah.
And you've got lads.
I think if you've got a good working joiner,
Yeah.
I think you can.
Yeah.
I think a project can self-manage itself.
Yeah, they can. Joiners are great if you can find a good one.
Yeah, I've worked with some toppers, and obviously I've always been right with them. So obviously I'll give them a floor plan. I'll strip it out. I hate it when I see tradesmen knocking walls down. It makes us feel sick. Because why would you have someone on
waste.
250 a day knocking a stud wall down when you can have your man 80 quid a day who's going to get rived into that sort of stuff? But I want that clear, because I want the floor plan clear. I want someone to go, right, this is going down first, that's going down second. Your cutouts is in, you're ready to go.
Yeah.
And let's move from here.
Brilliant. Love that. Yeah, I mean, would you look in the future, obviously you're going to get bigger and bigger, would you look at employing your own full-time teams, or would you always keep on the sub?
Do you know what it is? One of the biggest mistakes I ever done, David. I was that busy in property, and I classed the joiner as me pal. I was buying all kinds, keeping busy. Didn't need it. Do you want this towel? I'll have it. Do you want this towel? I'll have it. And he wanted to come up in wages, which I get. I say, it's like me and you sitting across the table now, David. Right, towel, I want an extra £4 an hour. Or what you bringing to me to warrant that extra £4 an hour.
Yeah.
I said, if that's the case, you need to be able to cost and manage this job. What do you mean? I says, well, I need a materials list and I need a rough gauge on labour of where you see this project finishing. Therefore, I'm making that way because I know my end cost and I know where we should be. And he kept getting it wrong. And I understand you're not going to get it right straight away.
No.
But I think it got to a point where he thought, I can't do this, the cost management side of things. And I was like, I can't give you the extra £4 or £5 an hour if you cannot ease my headache.
Yeah, where's the value? Yeah.
Exactly, yeah. So he was about to leave mid-project and we had a little bit of a confrontation. I was like, well, like, you could at least finish this project off. I've bought it to keep you.
Yeah.
And I just thought, you know, I need that hassle. Where if he's slack, I've got him in my garden, building as a gazebo, you know, because I just didn't want that anymore, David.
Yeah.
I like a subby where I give them 2 weeks notice. Now I say to the lads, we're going to be slack in 2 weeks' time, so can you look for something? Because everybody else is just subcontracted in.
At least they know. Yeah.
So then just get a day rate.
Yeah.
I give them the drawings, and obviously my brother is being brought in as a consultant to manage the jobs as well.
Yeah.
So I just basically said, I didn't want me to be the only wealthy one, and like I thought, you want to go away for the weekend, I can't afford it. I want everyone around us to be able
enough to go around.
enough to go and run that. So I just says, we get to the end of this project, you just send us a consultancy invoice and I'll pay you that way.
Brilliant.
So he's grown, he's learning the game. My life's becoming easier.
Yeah.
And obviously he's learning. Then we'll get to a point where we're going, well, then let's do one for you.
Brilliant.
Let's get you. Let's get you on the map. But the one thing I like about working on the conditional offer basis is, you know, your end exit position. So I know what my value, because I will basically say to me broker, well, if Bradley Hall has done Red Bull valuation for FW Capital, I want Bradley Hall on the panel to carry out the valuation.
Of course you do. Yeah.
Because obviously that's just where I'm wired. So but it's extra 1%.
It's nothing, is it?
Get it done.
In the great scheme of things.
Get the deal done for us, will you?
So for those people listening now, they've got a few buy-to-lets, maybe to HMO too, and they're thinking about going into commercial resi. Why would you advise them to do that?
When I first got involved, when I see you going to commercial to resi, I would start off on a smaller scheme. I would look on, there's always something on your local high street. What's a tattoo shop, a vape shop, downstairs.
It's never going to be online, is it?
It's never going to be online. It's got a big shop at the back and it's got a big flat upstairs. Because other things I have done as well, I've pinched the back of the shop as a living room and went upstairs into a HMO.
Right, okay.
So I've cut it up that way.
Yeah.
You enter a small shop.
Yeah.
There's your first rent. And then you enter your rear kitchen, your rear living area, then you're upstairs to your 5 bedrooms.
Right, so communal areas downstairs. Yeah, okay. Yeah.
I've done that a lot.
Yeah.
And obviously I've getting, like, you know what it's like, there's a lot of providers you can put 5-year leases into.
Yeah.
That gives you, like, decent returns, you know, like some of them give you 1,300 quid a month. Then you're getting 150 a week for your shop on, like, an 80 grand investment, what you've spent 50, 60 grand on. I just feel like there's so many out there, but it's knowledge, isn't it? Like I say this all the time. I say, like, someone will come up to us and say, like, DARRYL learner's property. I says, you need to be wrapped around me for a year. What do you mean? I says, you need to be wrapped around me for a year, because obviously I get asked a lot, not to teach, and like I didn't think you learn anything. Well, I don't think you learn a great deal in a day or 3 days or a week. Where I feel like if you had constant access to someone like me and you, David, over a year period, where you sat and you explained and you structured deals, and I think that works. Yeah. But sometimes if you say to somebody, well, give us extra work for us for a year, they couldn't say that I could knock them 3 of them back in one deal. Yeah,
easily.
That's just being conservative, you know what I mean?
Yeah, without a doubt.
But sometimes they're so short-sighted that they cannot say. Yeah. Like what you could potentially bring to the party, and that will be the only kind of people I'll be willing to work with. People who's keen, who's going to listen and going to follow me method, and then add on to that method to find your own method, because we've all got different methods.
Of course we do, yeah.
And we're all just looking for like different exit positions.
Yeah, for sure.
And it's I just love property. I'm constantly number crunching, and like sometimes I get messages in the group chat and I'll destroy a deal in the group chat. And they'd be like, and I'll be like, one of me good pals, he'll listen to this podcast and he'll know what I'm talking about. Coming out of property, I'm going to buy silver.
Yeah.
I was like, he's a belter. All right, neighbour, that says, so you went up 50%, you're going to put 10 grand into it. So over that 5-year term, you've made 5 grand. I didn't think of it like that, like. It's like, that's what you potentially... Yeah. And
you've supplied all of the funds yourself. You haven't lent off the bank.
No, you haven't leveraged it. You're not... No. I says, silver doesn't pay your rent.
No, it doesn't.
No, so it's just like... It's funny, but obviously I like that, because obviously I've been there. Yeah. So I'm going to buy Bitcoin, I'm going to buy this, I'm going to buy that. Yeah. And like, the only thing I ever do is calculate the risk stuff in relation to property. Yeah. I don't think property's easy, but I think if you sell a 10 to 15 year plan, and you're willing to put up with the headaches, I think it'll be very fruitful and beneficial for you.
Yeah, it's a long-term game, isn't it? It's a difficult game. It's a stressful game, as we've touched on. But when it comes to asset classes, there's not many asset classes where the bank will lend you 75% of the money to do it, and then it'll pay you monthly while the capital is hopefully appreciating. It just ticks so many boxes, doesn't it? I'm the same. I'm not in anything else but property, and I've been obsessed with property since I was 16-year-old, you know, so I probably never will. Do you still look at buy-to-let deals and stuff like that, or are you?
I send them to me mate.
Do you?
Aye, I'll just say I think you should buy this.
Do you still own all your buy-to-lets?
Yeah.
Do you?
Yeah.
Have you ever sold any of them?
One to a friend.
Right.
And that was it. I got a phone call. Do you want to buy a house in Silksworth? 25 grand. I thought 25 grand.
That's cheap for Silksworth.
I thought cheap, aye. So it's messed. Roof's in the lot. I think 80 grand refit. And I should be able to get the 5-year lease secured. It should come in around about the 150 to 170 mark. And to be fair, I think I spent 83 grand on it. I gave 25 for it. Then I flipped it to somebody for 160.
Yeah, that's all right. Yeah. Good area, Silksworth, as well.
Yeah, but obviously it was immaculate, the house when it was finished. But
Do you still owned it?
No.
I've never sold. I've done flips, but I've never sold any.
Just one. Obviously the only 2 houses I've sold, but it was just I was asked, and obviously they wanted hands off. So I done one, and like all me pals like, you didn't sell. I said I'm just gonna do one, and it's like they got a good return on the money. And obviously,
nice to do for your mate as well.
Just I've done it once, and then I just pulled away from it.
Yeah.
And that's the only one I've ever sold.
Is a plan to hold forever? Everything.
And while I hit the till button one day, definitely
It's tempting, isn't it?
like I say, I've got 2 kids as well, so I didn't want it to be I didn't want to raise wet wipes.
No.
I come from the hard knocks, you know what I mean? So obviously I didn't want to just leave a load of gelt and then just think it's easy. I had to work for everything, whether it was cutting my granddad's grass or turning the borders over.
Yeah.
I had to do a job to get paid.
Yeah.
I want to leave enough. It's not what it's not what I leave to them, it's what I leave in them.
Yeah.
That's like me theory.
Brilliant.
I want them to be able to understand, like, if they cannot listen to me and make money, obviously they shouldn't be in business.
In a lot of ways, I couldn't think of anything worse than growing up as a kid with rich parents and having it, because that feeling of making money when you haven't had any, you can't beat it.
No, you cannot.
So to rob someone of that, I know a lot of people are listening to me saying this and saying I'm mental because money's great, which it is, but to have never experienced that achievement of doing something yourself and being rewarded massively financially, imagine never feeling that.
Do you know what it is? Like this is what I'm thinking. I was happier then than what I am now. Yeah. That's fact, because every day I'm out there fighting and climbing a new mountain every day. Yeah. Like, and I'm not scared to go back, even though I would have to put all my money on red in Vegas. But like, that's one thing that's pushed me forward, David. Mm-hmm. I'm not scared to go back to there.
To where you were, because you were happy.
I was happy, aye. Like, all this is now.
What position to be in?
Yeah, all I'm doing now is I'm just climbing different mountains.
Yeah.
So I've superseded where I thought I'd ever be in life. Yeah. So everything now, I'm just like, I'm flying really, you know. Yeah. But like, if I went back to when I used to go and jogging 3 nights a week and go to the boxing club 3 nights a week and go back in my box bedroom with my nanas, like,
there's different ways to be happy, isn't there? There's different achievements.
There is.
Yeah, and it's all relative. Like, the financial success you've had now, it's like you say, £1 million when you sold the house for over £1 million quid. It's back in day one, that would have been a lot of money to you. But it's just, you just sort of become immune to a lot of things.
It's like, you see, if you see 100 grand on the table now, you can't, fuck me, that's a lot of money, that. Yeah. But you'll switch it, you'll press a button on your computer screen, and it's got no relevance whatsoever, has it? No. I was saying that the other day.
Doesn't go anywhere?
No, it's just now, but it looks class in front of you. Yeah. But you press that button on your computer screen, and just like, we've got zero value, really, have us?
Just numbers on a screen.
For money, we're just gone. Well, I think you'd have a different perspective, you know, if it was sitting on your knee. If it was in a Asda carrier bag, you'd be thinking, I need to think twice about this deal. Yeah. But like some of me mentees, like people who I give free advice to, my friends, like I'm urging them to get involved in semi-commercial, semi-resi, but always make sure your floor space supersedes 55% or 50%, just so you get your 75%
of your GDV.
Or if you go to a lender as well, because if your retail outweighs or your rate will jump up.
Yeah.
So you get your better rate, obviously, when your floor value is a lot less than your rate.
Just to confirm that for listeners, 50, as long as your floor space is 55% commercial.
No, 55% resi.
Resi, sorry. The bank will give you 75% on the preceded GDV.
Yeah, that's correct. Yeah, or they might still give you 75%, but they'll increase your rate by 2-3%.
Yeah.
So I've always obviously getting better deals in having a higher residential floor space over commercial when I've done semi-commercial. Because there's one thing I hear all the time, and I do this regularly. I buy a freehold of a big building, and essentially I'd strip the freehold, create leaseholds, strip the titles. I've never ever seen the benefit of increased valuations through splitting the titles on a valuation. And I hear it online and on the internet a lot. Strip your titles out, you get a better.
What? I did that. Yeah.
And I've never seen a better value through doing that.
No, I'll be honest. I'd never really thought about that, but you're right, because we bought a business centre 2.5 years ago.
Yeah.
It was 17 offices, and we got 9 apartments out the existing footprint, and then we built 2 new build apartments on the back.
Yeah.
And we weren't going to split the titles because we were retaining the properties. We were just going to refinance on one title. We were pushed. It'll massively increase your value if you split the titles. Didn't. When it came to it.
I've done it loads of times. And I've never stripped the titles, but I've literally sat down in a meeting and says, well, if I strip the titles, and they went, well, the mortgage company says no.
Yeah.
And but you people bumping the gums about it.
Yeah.
Strip titles, pull this out. Is it clickbait? Me personally,
I think it might be.
I've never seen it benefit me, and I've done quite a few schemes like that. I think it will be worth it later on down the line.
Without a doubt.
If you wanted if you wanted to sell one, you want to retain one. If you want to get rid of the bottom floor and keep your resi, it makes sense in that aspect. But I've never seen an increase in my valuation through through titles being carved up.
Yeah. It's interesting because we split the titles into 11 apartments, and then we thought, give us flexibility if we want to sell 1 or 2 off in the future, like you just said. But then your early repayment charges, because you're tied into one lender, if you sell 1 apartment, you have to pay the whole early repayment charge.
Yeah.
It's huge.
On the loan.
So you've got no flexibility anyway.
Yeah. I'll tell you a few things that obviously might help the listeners out with as well. A few things where I've been caught is when you own a high amount of properties on a street, how it's frowned upon by lenders. I've had it where...
Yeah, I've heard that.
That's 100% correct.
Yeah, because you control the market almost.
Yeah, so they're basically saying, well, if you go bankrupt, well, if I go bankrupt, my portfolio's gone. Yeah. It's not just the 8-9 I've got on this street, and I got knocked for 50 grand.
Did you really?
And do you know what it is? This is mental, this feed. I only clicked a couple of months ago. At the time, I was actually out with my mates playing golf. So my broker rings up the standard waffle. Like, right, they want to pull 50 grand out this deal. That's due to me. And I thought, I don't believe this. So at the time, I was feeling quite happy. I was like, wasn't thinking straight. I was on the golf course. I just had a pint of Moretti. I was like, oh, didn't worry about it. I'm land banking. I've got plenty of stuff floating about at the minute. I didn't need it. And I was driving my car a couple of months ago. And come on, when I tell you the original story about us being for a jog, and it was the same fucking bank.
Was it really?
Aye. And I went, John, and the penny drops.
Yeah.
I thought, this shit bag, Segan's have done us twice now.
Don't like you.
No, it must be the area, because it's the same area.
Yeah.
And I was like, I can't believe it. They've done us for 50 grand. Yeah. And they've totally wobbled me legs on that one up there.
Yeah.
But can you imagine someone who's lent pork off somebody, an investor, getting his valuation to stack up? He's rubbing his hands, mind.
Yeah.
Jackpot. The investor's getting paid. I'm getting paid. I've got three tenants moving in. Then getting that phone call saying you're getting dropped by 20%. Where does somebody with no experience go from there?
Game over. It's game over, isn't it?
Exactly.
Yeah, you're knackered.
It's like you're onto your ma, you're onto your door, and someone else.
Wherever you can.
Well,
you're in bother, aren't you?
Like, this is property. Reset. Yeah. And go back to your broker and try again and again.
Yeah.
Because if you've had that valuation that stacks, 9 times out of 10, there's a lot of mortgage companies who'll use that valuation and roll with it.
Yeah.
And say, I'll take that deal.
Yeah.
Some mightn't. They might want to sting you for another 1,500 quid for a commercial val.
Yeah. It's better than the alternative.
Exactly, aye. Yeah. Or if they're on a method valuation panel or whatever, they might just say, no, we'll work with that. I've had that loads of times.
Right.
Where someone's pinched a deal off another lender because them weren't happy with the deal.
Right.
But generally, when you get a stonking deal, there's generally a headache behind it.
Of course there is, yeah. There's a reason you're getting it for what you are.
I've always
so
seen it.
At this stage now, what criteria is your main criteria? You walk into a building now and you're planning, right, are you looking for all your money out? Are you looking for ROI 30%? What's your
I want
criteria?
all my own money out and more,
Right.
and drink. Like,
Otherwise, you won't do the deal.
otherwise I want to do the deal. I can't see the point in doing the deal because I've got ROI coming in left, right, and centre.
Yeah. So you've got your cash flow sorted.
Yeah. So like I'm looking for pork now.
Yeah.
Like that's where I'm at. Like, and be as humble as I like, you know. But this is what I'm in the game for now. I want to create the best development I can bring, and I want to pull as much out as I possibly can. Then move on to other developments and other investments. Like
So you're looking for the lumps of capital.
Yeah. I'm not here. I'm not just filling DARRYL Cullerton's coffers up. I'm an investor.
Yeah.
Like I get money in the bank.
Yeah.
Like I've got a slush what I like to keep
Yeah, just in case.
ticking over, just to rainy day money. But I also want to be bang, bang, bang.
Yeah. Make it work for you.
Aye, make it work for us. Like I'm not bothered in like the flash any like I was years ago. Like I used to love me flash cars. I've had Lamborghini Uruses, all that kind of stuff, you know. But like, not bothered. I drive a commercial Defender. I love it. I bump up curbs. I'm not bothered if I've scraped the alloy. Aye, and I'm not driving past someone in the street. I'm getting called a bell end. So
I get that anyway. Doesn't matter what car
I'll
I'm
follow
in.
his day anyway. That's why I've got blacked out windows. But no, for me, it's just about growing now and like growing on a bigger scale. Like I think when you're younger, you look at 10 doors. Now I look at 10 doors per development.
Right. Yeah.
So I think if I can
It's just a mindset thing, isn't it?
If I can, so essentially, what I'd like to do is obviously I know it's a lot more advanced down the line, but you know, and you people, let's buy 10 properties. We've hit the jackpot. We've got 10. Like I could learn someone how to do 10 just by following my process and buying the right building. Yeah. But in order to get to that point, to get conditional offers approved, you've got to go through the nitty gritty to get to that point. Yeah. Like you'll probably get asked this question a lot, David. What if you knew what you knew now? What would you do differently? Yeah. Now, because I wouldn't have knew what I knew now.
You just answered me last question.
Exactly. I've just done everything wrong, so now I'm starting to get it right.
Yeah.
And
that's the only way to learn, isn't it?
It is. Get wet, like I say all the time. Get wet.
I always say to people, I've learned many a lesson, but the main ones I've learned are when it's cost me money.
Yeah.
If it hits your wallet, you learn. Yeah. Simple as.
No, it's but it's like you say, it's a fun game.
It is.
But I think there's more laws than ice.
Probably is, but I wouldn't change it for the world as well.
I love it, mate. Especially deals like, because what I love also about the conditional offer process is once I'm not paying rates, I'm not paying utilities. I might agree to give them extra 10 grand, like in the deal to sweeten it. But then once that planning's fell, I've got photographs of the building. I'm hitting the VOA with my planning certificate, all my Gantt charts, everything that I've supplied to FW Capital or the lender I'm working with, and I'm saying I need this delisting because I'm carrying out 10 apartments. Yeah. So then...
right, okay, I get you, yeah.
Do you get where I'm going?
Yeah, yeah.
So it's just like, VOA, gone, cut everything off, and temporary supply on site. Yeah. And then like, because I didn't want to be coming, class, got me planning, rates. Yeah, yeah. I'm waiting.
Kill your deal.
So it's on that stopgap. The first day that planning lands, I've got 2 to 3 months to play with before they get me money. Yeah, yeah. So that's when I'm hitting the VOA with my planning certificate, me schedule of works, me photography. I want rid of them rates as fast as possible. Yeah. And you're always going to wedge a little bit contingency on, just so you've got plenty of time and scope on that development before you move on to the next one. Yeah. So I think that's also something that needs to be like bear in mind. It's not just a case of running through planning, paying your man. Like rates is going to hurt you. Yeah. So I look at we're mitigating that hurt by having the procedure in play where if you've got a VOA account, register a new property, upload all your documents, may take a couple of months by the time it comes back round, and it's going to be given the green light. You haven't paid, but you're in contract. They kind of go anywhere. You pay them, stay listed, and you're not walking into like 12, 13, 14, 1,500 quid worth of rates every month.
Too right, yeah. For the sake of a bit of paperwork. Yeah. So, given that your cash flow's sorted and you're looking at capital now as your main sort of aim, do you think you'll transition into selling developments on as soon? Like,
I got asked this question the other day. I was sitting having a coffee in the Ramside, and it says like we've got sellers who'll like give you like on the assisted living packaging scheme, what'll give you frightening numbers. Not that the building's worth that, because I had a conversation with my solicitor about the same thing. So she's got some investors who's bought a property. It's massively increased, inflated in value through the lease. Now,
I've seen these.
But the investor here has just pressed the button. I want it. But like you know as well as me, you're in some of these commercial leases are not worth a pot of nuts.
No, not at all.
No.
I've seen these, and people pay massively inflated prices, well over what the building's worth.
Probably double in some cases.
And you're in negative equity. Well, you're risking negative equity from day one type of thing.
Well, if that commercial lease goes, that's it, isn't it?
Well, it's game over. You've got a building that's worth 50% of what you're paying.
But I think if you could, like you've just said, if you could agree the heads of terms up front, David, get that eye-watering amount of money all signed up.
Oh, snap their arm off.
It needs to be tucked, doesn't it?
Because it does,
Sometimes you need to pay your tax, don't you? And just think,
right,
that is what it is, you know.
Yeah, without a doubt.
But for me, it's just I've got I'm 37 now. I want to have another 13 year solid push, and then see where I'm at.
Yeah.
But like to see it.
You'll never stop, mate.
No, I've got something in us, you know. That I'm just constantly pushing for the next day.
Mate. Yeah, I'm always looking for the next one. Sometimes I wish I wasn't actually. Sometimes I wish I just enjoyed.
I envy your average man off the street, because I wish I could settle like that, and I can't.
One holiday.
I could be standing in the kitchen on a night, and my missus could be talking to us, and I'm sometimes in a different.
I'm going to make my missus listen to this.
I'm in a different world,
Yeah.
and I was in the kitchen last night and think she was watching Married at First Sight, and I shouldn't say what I'm about to say here, but I think there was a lad on there who was exactly the same, and he's being diagnosed with ADHD.
Yeah.
So I was asking to me, well, you've definitely got that.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, nice.
Same.
What a neat. I'm just coming from work and I've just been told I've got ADHD.
Yeah,
well,
yeah.
I think deep down I probably not. I've got a certain aspect of us that's.
Yeah.
But I'll pick up. One of my business partners here about us. He'll be sitting in a meeting, and it could be a 30-minute draining meeting, but you know the important parts.
Yeah.
I'll recite them, and she'll come to me and goes, I fucking hate it when you do that.
Yeah, I'm exactly the same, mate. I won't 99% of it. I won't remember a word of it.
Yeah.
But I can, like you said, to the detail.
Yeah.
I remember the important bit
exactly
and be able to recite it. There's something there in that. Loads of people have said I'm the same. ADHD, and my missus, the amount of times a day she says to me like, "You're not with me, are you?"
Yeah.
I'm somewhere.
That's exactly where I'm at. I'm in a different world, just floating about, just juggling numbers and stuff, and thinking about my next game.
Which I love, and I'm sure you do, but it's probably not the best.
No, even when I get on older, I've got a couple of days in us where I'm like relaxed after I've walked the island 19 times.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, I'm in think mode again, you know. Yeah. I'm like, well, I think this could work. I think this could stack. Because I think the buzz for me is the initial deal.
Yeah.
Do you know, the backwards and forwards and ironing it out.
It is,
then after that, I'm like deflated.
The thrill of the chase, isn't it?
Yeah, then I'm deflated, but then I get excited again mid, and then refinance, and then onto the next deal. But I'm in a place now, David, where I'm doing one, I've got one ready.
Yeah.
So I want to like move that way.
Yeah. And how are you finding these deals then? Are you finding it easily? Are people coming to you?
Agents come to me a lot. Yeah. Agents who I've worked with in the past. It was like, Darryl, I've got something that I think might fit your bill. Like one of the I do quite a bit with Lofthouse, and he seems to have us down to a T, Mario, because
just knows how you work.
He knows the kind of buildings that are for me. Now I think that's a special talent, really. How he can identify a building and think, I think this is the one
that's a good agent.
That fits your criteria.
Yeah. Match the buyer.
Yeah. I hate one thing I hate about agents is someone will ring you, this will buy it. All right, and I'll pay it. You've been outbid.
Yeah, I know. What's the point?
I see you later. Just didn't even ring us back. You've rang us, give us a deal. I've said I'll have it.
Yeah.
And then you've said we're being outbid.
Yeah.
And that's just
how many people have they rang and told them they've got it?
Exactly. I can't be bothered with that. If it's there to be had, I'll have it.
Yeah.
But if it's not, if I'm going in a bidding war, I'm not interested.
How do you see the market in general at the moment, commercial buildings? In general, you've got more experience in it than me. How are you seeing the market? Are you finding it easier to find deals currently? Is there more deals getting brought to you by agents, or is it slower than normal?
I feel like the floodgates has opened lately.
Do you?
I think there's a lot of people jumping out.
Why?
I think too many people are reading the news, me, and propaganda. I believe in a deal, me. What it's worth, what my mortgage is, and what I'll rent it for. What's hard about that? Like mortgage v rent. I always class it my dipstick. I think people get property so misconstrued where, what's your dipstick? Me mates going, what do you mean? Or what's left after everything's paid? Because that's essentially how the world spins.
Yeah.
So I even run my house like this on a spreadsheet. What comes in, what goes out, what's left, that's mine. Or what I can spend. So I always say, well, what's the dipstick? Now, if I can look at a commercial building, I know I've got people on my waiting list who's waiting for a hairdressing salon, a nail salon, a reformer studio, or anything like that, and I know I can pick that building up for 100 grand. She's going to give us grand to 1,500 a month on a 10-year term with a break after 5, that just makes sense to me, David.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna.
Yeah.
I'm not.
You can never turn those deals down.
No,
will
you cannot.
No.
And like I've got nothing empty, like at all. I've got one. Well, I've got one that is empty because a long-term tenant's just left, and I'm busy converting that from a 2 to a 3 better.
Yeah.
Because I know I'll get another 100 quid a week.
Yeah.
So
People are saying the high street's dying, but everywhere I look, there's no vacant shops.
I think here's a classic example: the bridges in Sunderland.
Yeah.
Sold 8 years ago for 150 million quid.
Yeah.
It sold 2 months ago for 28 million.
Bloody hell.
That's bad business, that mind, isn't
That's
it?
horrendous business.
No, that is bad business. And I walked through the bridges the other day, and there's some crack. It's not
Yeah,
full, but
it's all right.
it's 80%.
Yeah, I always got the Starbucks in there. Yeah.
And I'm just like, that's gone now.
Yeah.
The Starbucks is gone.
Oh, was it
Just-
really?
just moved.
I was going to say that. I was only there
I-
the other week.
It used to be at the back of the bridges, didn't it?
Yeah.
Next to other, I'm sure it's moved next to Primark.
Ah, right.
But when I started topping my numbers up, I thought, who's getting that? Me and David hasn't getting that.
No.
Because that would be an easy deal through brokers, wouldn't it?
Brilliant.
Just gone on, obviously, gone on purchase
Imagine the
price.
income on that place at 80%.
Oh, you get that on market value. Me and you could get that deal through without blinking.
Yeah, they would.
Because I always remember getting told off a broker years ago, it's easier to do a £1 million deal than it is to do a 50 grand deal.
Yeah, I've been told that.
And
yeah.
I was like, but do you know what it is? It actually is. Can you imagine the paperwork that your broker's got to go through to get the pittance on a 50 grand deal?
True, yeah.
But
How motivated is he going to be if he's getting 2% on 28 million?
Exactly that,
Yeah.
aye. So it's like, you only learn that as you evolve, because that 50 grand back then was gold,
Yeah.
pot of gold at the end of the rainbow. But then as you move on, he's can approach a lot more people, like banks, to pull this £1 million deal together.
Yeah.
Where out sub 100,
not worth
you're
anyone's
limited,
money,
and
no.
especially sub 50.
Yeah.
Like people think that you kind of buy. I've got my broker that I'm using at the minute. He's from London, and he's reactive as anything. Do you know, I'm impatient.
Right.
If I've got a deal, I need someone to answer the phone.
Yeah.
I cannot wait 3 days for an email to come back. I'm literally banging my head off a wall. I need someone to pick the phone up.
Yeah.
Can we get this deal done? I think we can. Leave it with us. I think I can get you that on market value, not purchase price. Champion.
Yeah.
Right to point this panel. I want to see if I can wangle this way, and I love that. It's not, but
Is that easier with him on doing that sort of setup on the bigger deals, you mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I also like someone to be out the area, because I think a lot of people local talk, and I didn't want people to talk about.
Yeah,
what
my
I've got.
broker's in London, yeah.
I didn't like people to talk.
I found him online 20 years ago, and I've never stopped using him.
I always remember years ago I worked in I just started out in brokerage, not brokerage, buying, and someone turned the computer screen round and showed us someone portfolio. I thought I didn't need in mind.
Yeah.
Didn't
Are
like
you sure
that.
you someone else's portfolio?
I thought, you're meant to be my man, you know what I mean? You're meant to be rock. I had an out at the time, you know. I pulled into me JCS work van, you know what I mean? We're about 15 quid me pocket. But when he showed us that, I'm like, that's which way I'm wired.
Yeah.
I thought, well, I didn't know the
I'd
guy.
be the same,
I didn't know
yeah.
the guy's name, but like I didn't like that
Yeah.
something's being shown. Like I want you to be like me, man. You know what I mean? Where if you're pulling something together for us, it's kept between me and you.
Yeah, I think it's like brokers, tradesmen, whatever. You kiss a few frogs, don't you, before
Yeah.
you find the ones you want. But
I've still got I've got multiple brokers because other brokers work with other panels. So I'd be an idiot just to have.
yeah, you want to be whole market, don't you?
This is my livelihood, you know.
Yeah.
That's why.
Sorry, mate. I was just going to say that half the brokers that say the whole of market as well, they're not the whole of that network that they're in, aren't they? They're all part of a network.
They're all pals with somebody who's
course
who's on a panel or who works with a bank,
Yeah.
where they can talk to them over the phone and potentially pull a deal together.
But whoever's giving them the biggest kickback, they're going to be the lender, aren't they?
Yeah.
A lot of the time, anyway.
But I think I didn't answer my question when I said that obviously when you own them on a street, the best way to carry out the valuations in that process is by getting individual valuations or
from different banks, from different lenders.
from different banks, then you will get your full 75%,
Yeah,
rather than being chipped by 10-15% by going with one lender.
yeah. Because that one lender will probably charge you 9
Yeah.
valuation fees anyway.
So it's always good to bear in mind if you own a few on the street, there is a high possibility. But I can't understand how you get kicked at the end. Someone had told us this, I would have re-strategized.
Well, yeah.
But I thought I was fixed for a 5-year deal, and I always know that 50 grand's there
Yeah.
for like a later day.
Are you fixing a lot of your deals now, 5 years?
5 years, yeah.
Because the rates are starting to come down, aren't they?
Yeah.
There's a lot of talk about them coming down. We touched earlier on the media, a lot of shite in the media at the moment, and people believing it, and Labour coming in, and there's always going to be something, isn't there?
Yeah.
If you listen, you're not going to do anything.
It's like I say, there's been so many, I'm not really a political man. I think it's all a load of shite.
Yeah, 'cause they're all lies.
But has anything ever changed in the 15 year, whatever you've been in property, David? I take no notice of anything. I'm concentrated on me and what I'm doing, and obviously my team. And if it stacks up business wise, it's what comes in, what comes out, what's left. Like that is it.
Yeah, it's not rocket science.
No,
is it?
it's not hard. And can you fill that property? Didn't get us wrong. You might get a bad tenant. That's why you need to learn it. That's how, obviously I know they're abolishing the Section 21.
Yeah.
But the people that I have evicted has been through arrears defaults.
Yeah,
So if that switches Section 8 now, obviously I used to do the MB5s, everything they sell, you know.
Yeah. But they're going to strengthen the Section 8. Well, they say they're going to strengthen the Section 8 and make it easier to get through court as well, which they have to do. If they're abolishing Section 21, which they are, that Section 8 needs to become a lot more straightforward, doesn't it?
I'll only lose somebody if the mess is about. And that is the only time I've ever evicted people. I've never went to somebody, well, I want this house back.
No.
I'm going to ramp it up £200-300 a month.
No.
Like, play ball with me, I'll play ball with you. I'm running a business.
And the more property you've got, the easier it is to be like that. When I had 2 or 3 buy-to-lets when I first started out, you know, if someone didn't pay the rent or they were late, it was the end of the world. You know, it's a lot easier to be reasonable people.
Yeah.
The more doors you've got.
No, 100%. But also the more doors you've got, you turn into a small council.
Yeah.
I'll have paid 18 plumbers' bills just before I come here. Just little repairs like radiator TRV or just doof, 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 doof.
Yeah.
And I just think you look at sometimes, and I didn't have next to no repairs when I had like 10 to 20 compared to what I've got now. Where it's just, but I've do everything now is email. It's all automated.
Yeah.
I've fetched the systems out of my company into the property world.
Right.
So everybody will get an automated email unless it's obviously there's a list underneath my automated email of like emergencies. So obviously my automated email response will give them 3 days before we'll respond to that email, unless it's a really important email. Then I can have a look, and I always ask for photographs, everything, so I can get a first fix. Because I think that's why you lose your money, where someone goes out, scratches their head and says, oh, we need to order this. But I'd rather see that needs sorting. The mechanism's gone on number 3 on the door. Can you just repair that mechanism? There's a window. Can you just replace the window? I like to get things done first time. I hear backwards and forwards, David, because I think that's where you lose money, and that's where your tenants start whinging. Yeah. But some of my tenants still whinge, and I feel like saying,
I was just going to say, how do your tenants react to that 3-day?
Well, it's like you say, you know, if you rang Gen 2 and said your fan weren't working in the bathroom, say in 3 months.
If you're lucky.
All right?
Yeah.
So I'll respond within a week. But if it's an emergency and it's required, the heater's off or there's a leak,
there's a gas leak or something.
We've got an emergency mobile number, bang, 24-hour response.
Yeah.
But if it's just your general, my kitchen door handle's not working, I'll aim to get it done in a week, we'll always respond within the 3-day period. Yeah. But obviously it's a little bit chronology as well, because I'm buying myself some time as well, so I can get the correct tradesman to go to the correct job, because I know who can fix that job without coming back and giving us a headache.
Exactly, yeah. And he can go with the materials.
Exactly, yeah. He can turn up, do the fix, got the photographs, get the tenant to sign it off to say they're happy. So therefore I've got a piece of paper on file in the file to say if they're not happy, well, you've signed it. So obviously, my tradesman give us some proof that you were happy and you signed off the job was completely your satisfaction, you know. Yeah. But it's also a lot of people who's coming into the property world now. I know I'm bouncing about a little bit now. Is the new legislations in relation to your carbon monoxide detectors, your main smokes. Like some of my pals have been buying some stuff. Are you had the electrics tested? No, why? Again, you need your main smokes in there. You need your carbon monoxide detectors. You need to make sure your gas and water's bonded, you know, like you're opening yourself up to a minefield there.
It's amazing how many landlords bring properties to our management company and we have to do an EICR because they've had a tenant in for years and they've never done one. Just like, have you had your head in the sand? Yeah. Like, it's just
they do, because I think it was pre-2021. I could be wrong here, but I didn't think an EICR was like a necessary requirement.
No, it was advisory. It was only gas. Only CP12 was mandatory. Yeah. So 2020.
So all your old school landlords are still in that thought process, and I'm just like, well, if someone's left, that needs retesting just in case anyone's messed about with the electrics, or if it's past 5 years, it needs 100% test, make sure your RCDs and everything's checked and tested, and obviously now it's going to come back and bite you. Because I see, you know, if you're standing in that court dock and you've got that file, belt and braces, you're clean as a whistle.
Gosh, yeah.
I says, but if you haven't, it's good knife in it, because you'll have someone in that dock who will shred you.
Gosh, you'll make an example of you.
Yeah. So like a lot of people need to be fully aware of obviously the legislation behind buying property, David, as well. Yeah.
So, mate, you've achieved so much that, like, sat here listening to you, it's massively inspiring. But I want to ask you, are you successful?
Oh, 100%. Like, I'm successful, like, in my own right through the hard work that I've done. But am I on this journey to be like noticed? No. like one of the main reasons I've opted for podcasts and to share my experiences is because I lost my mum young, and I'm putting content out there. So I'm a healthy lad. I train. I live well. But I want my kids to look at stuff like this and say, do you know what it is? My dad would go. There's one thing about him. He might have come from a colliery house in Castletown, but he had a go, like.
Yeah.
And that's the main thing for me.
Yeah.
I want my kids to look back on these podcasts and just think, well, he had a go. Yeah. And, like, he come from nothing.
Yeah.
Like...
I've never thought of that, because I haven't got kids, but I've never thought of that, like, in your kids could be looking at your Instagram in 40 years' time.
Exactly, that's for me. Yeah. Like, I didn't need social media. And that's just I'm not being like an arse about it.
No.
I didn't need it. I've got enough to keep pushing forward. But if some people can listen to some of my rails and like take something away from it, then that's great. But if my kids and the grandkids, when I'm not here, can sit and say, hey man, look at your granddad. He was banging the property in. Yeah. Like, oh, was that my granddad? Like, aye. Like that's brilliant. That's for me.
It's a great driver, that actually. It's a really great driver.
Yeah.
What's the plan for the next 5 years, mate? Do you look that far ahead? Where do you see yourself in 30? We say 37 now.
Yeah.
So 42-year-old. What's life going to look like?
I think my life will look exactly the same. I'm one of these. I'm very hard to buy for because I'm not really bothered about much. I think when you can't afford to do things, it's a massive inspirer for you to get there. Mm-hmm. But like I'm at a point now where like I'm happy when I have my wellies on and I go for a walk on a frosty morning. Yeah. That is peace for me. Like I didn't want to be seen in nightclubs with fireworks flinging off a bottle of champagne or something. We might do it once, twice a year with the lads if we're generally going to Dubai or Marbella or something like that. But I'm not really a big drinker, so we might go out and we might do our tits, a couple of times. But that's probably the be all and end all. Yeah. I'm quite a reserved person, me. Like I get up in the morning, I walk to my ice bath, shadowboxing on the way there, having a mental argument with myself, thinking you idiot. But I've actually done it. I've done a little video on my ice bath the other day to like some of my pals, who were speaking regular. I says we must have fucking serious issues, again, because I'm walking to this ice bath. I didn't want to get in, but I'm willing to get in it every day. Yeah. And
that's discipline.
I do that every day. Yeah. It's like doing something you didn't want to do on repeat. It's like that's what's in us.
It becomes habit. I'm the same. I get up at 4:15 every morning. I'm up. I drink this horrendous drink that I won't even tell you, you'd be sick. But I do it because I don't like it. So I just force myself to drink that drink and then go straight to the gym. That just keeps me right.
That's the best way. It's like I don't want to get up every day and like do what I do, but I do it because that's which way I'm wired, But I would like to be able to be achieving $20 to $30 a year. And I think I could do that like quite comfortably with the new method that I'm in. But all I've gradually done, like over the years, it's quite easy to see. I've went resi, HMO, service departments, student accommodation, HMO. I don't know if I repeat that then. Semi-commercial. Yeah. So I've just slowly geared,
natural,
and changed just like over a slow trend. Yeah. And I'm comfortable with that because I know everything that can go wrong that way, and I feel like all them amalgamated brings us to where I'm at now. I'm just doing it on a bigger scale, but I feel like the bigger scale is easier. Yeah. If I can get like a 15,000 square foot building and I've got 5,000, 5,000 and 5,000 and I've got no supporting walls to deal with, I'm just looking thinking, jackpot.
Piece of cake.
Aye. So I'll get 4 here, 4 there, 2 there. Like that's me number 10.
Yeah, I read a book very recently. 10x is easier than 2x. I don't know if you've read it, and that's basically what it's all about. Yeah. And if you think bigger, do bigger things, it is, and it breaks down why it's actually easier. It does. I think it's relatable to.
You're better buying as well. Like you're going to a wholesaler and you're ordering like more steels, you're ordering more timber, you're ordering more plasterboard. Like, it's amazing how, like, even if you get a mortgage over £500,000, like, the people sub £500,000 probably need the discount more than the plus 500s. Yeah. But because you can afford £500,000 house, we'll give you an enhanced rate to people who really need it. Yeah.
It's true, actually, yeah.
And you see that a lot. Yeah. But for me, if I'm going to the wholesalers and I'm wanting 2,000 plasterboards, the fighting, if I want 200, it's just, that's the price, you know what I mean? So like, it's just better buying from all angles, and I always like to set my apartments up so everything's back to back. bathroom, kitchen, just because then it just
Fee services.
I'm looking at ways to make my services and my install cheaper. So obviously it's more for me to move on to me next.
That's just experience, isn't it? That's being able to fine tune, given the experience that you've got. And just go in, rinse, repeat. Do you ever think you'll ever get bored of it?
Oh, definitely. Like me pals, all my thingies they'll end up in hotels. That's where the CLB, because I'm naturally like moving.
Yeah, because you won't be doing it for the money. I don't know, money's not your main driver now anyway, but you'll just do developments that you want to make a show piece of, like a hotel or something. Yeah.
Like on me, you'll see it on me socials. Obviously, I'm gonna do something different on me release parties. I'm gonna like do a little bit like, have you seen like $1 Million Listing in New York?
Yeah.
I just find it really hard to believe how one of the biggest things that you're ever gonna do in your life, it's got to be your top 5, getting yourself starting a business, i.e. a commercial unit you might be getting, or getting yourself a flat or an apartment, and it's not celebrated at all. So
that's true.
It's never ever celebrated. It's like I'm going to put a show on. Do you know, when I start releasing things in Sunderland? So do you know, if I've got to chuck 10 grand in having a DJ on, fireworks and entertainers,
make sure I'm invited.
That's which way I'm going to push it.
Yeah.
Because I want it to be exciting, and I want people to see, when's he doing his next development?
Yeah.
I want to do like that. I want to bring that to the party, because I just feel like there's no fun in it at the minute.
There's no fun anywhere at the moment, is there?
And I'm like, what's wrong with people? You know what I mean? Let's have a bit frisk.
It's like, I know everyone's scared to have fun now.
I think people are scared to have fun because they're scared to get shredded on social media.
That's what it is, yeah.
I think that's a big. I think a lot of people are scared to see how they feel, so then they retract and see something that they don't feel. So therefore, it has a
to fit in.
And I just think I know you've got to be careful of what you see now, but surely your man's entitled to see what he feels like he wants to see it.
Yeah.
And I'm not wanting to go out there and like shout at people and that sort of stuff. You know what I mean? I just sit back and I just look, and some things I can take things away from. I think I can see where you're coming from, but you haven't got to tell everyone.
No, exactly, yeah.
You know, while dealing with on things, just dealing with it in a little bit of a different way rather than voicing.
Yeah, 100%, mate. So what's the end goal? Is there one?
I was having this conversation the other day, and it's like, it's a funny thing what I'm going to say. Right? I feel like I'm running, and I feel like when I stop running, it's
game over.
It's not good. I think I've always had that drive from being young, whether it be involved in amateur boxing, I'll be training for a fight or a championship. I've took that model across, and I feel like I think there's certain elements of trauma that happened to us in my early life, and I'm just sprinting. And I think like that's the day that sprint stops. I think that's the end of DARRYL. Yeah, to a degree.
I get that. Yeah, no, I get that. And it's the most successful people I've spoken to on the podcast and just in general life. Yeah. They've all been through a major trauma when they were younger.
I think it does mould you into a certain individual, I believe. But obviously, I take positives away from the man I am today, because I feel like I'm not one of these who looks too far into religion, but I feel like from the day you're born, I think your path's written. I think it's already sketched before you've even put your first foot on the floor. Yeah. But I think you can do certain things to implement and make things better and make yourself live a longer and healthier life. But I just want to keep seeing how far I can push property, considering it's a side hustle for us. I'm not doing too bad, really, you know.
Yeah. You're big in your health and fitness. I know you're obviously an ex-boxer.
Yeah, but obviously I haven't boxed for years, you know what I mean? I'll have been 24 something when I packed in from boxing, but it's something that I always find it really difficult. How, like a professional athlete, like some of your high-end ones, it will be up in the morning, ice bath, 4 o'clock run, spar, blah-de-blah. They come away from boxing, and obviously they find it really hard to excel in a business, where I took the elements of amateur boxing into the business world. Yeah,
there's a lot of it's transferable, isn't it?
Yeah, I try my best to keep healthy. I make sure I've got my steps done every day. Yeah. I used to be in the gym every day, but I'm 3-4 times a week now. I don't do now, like over the top. I'll just vary. I might do a bit bag work, a little bit hypertrophy work, just that sort of stuff, David.
Keeps your head right, doesn't
just
it?
Keeps me head right. I was having 2 kids in the house as well. It's like, as soon as I get in from work, I'm just wrestling and stuff like that, you know.
As long as you're winning.
I'm always winning. I just tell my daughter she's got to pay rent for our Wendy house out the back. She's not too happy, like.
You're probably split into 3 then.
I know. But no, mate, I'm really enjoying where I'm at. But like, it hasn't come easy. Like, I know, like, we're sitting in a podcast now, 15 years on. But like, when you read like business timelines of like up, down, left, right, I think everything that can possibly go wrong has essentially went wrong. Yeah. You know.
That makes it all the sweeter now.
It does, you've got to be resilient and don't give in. Yeah. Like, if you've got your heart set on something, like I always say, knock on 9, the 10th door probably is open. Yeah. I see the same with valuations, and I see the same with offers. Didn't get lost off on that first valuation and think it's game over. Like, this is just to see what you've got in the tank and see if you can move to the next position.
Yeah.
Like, I'm willing to just drop that offer and go back to me broker and see if I get us another offer.
Yeah.
If I'm not with the second one, get us another one. If I've had 3, then I'm more than happy. But it'd be amazing if you put them 3 valuations in front of a Rick Severe and say, yeah, tell me the difference between them 3. Yeah. Like, I feel like he or she's totally confident in our abilities and knows what property's worth. This one's just done us for 350 quid and this one's just guessing.
Yeah, you see it all the time. Right, last 2 questions, mate. I ask, you've already answered one of these actually, but I'm going to ask you again. I ask everyone these, just if you had one piece of advice to new investors sat here today, if I was a brand new investor, I had a bit of cash in my pocket, said, Darryl, what shall I do? Where shall I start? You've got to start at the beginning. I think you need to get engrossed in people who's actually buying property. I feel like you'll learn tremendous amounts of information just by sitting and speaking to the people who's actually done it. Totally disagree with education where the educator's not on the stage, who's been through the wars, because I want to speak to the person who's been battered and bruised, knows the things that can go right, know the things that can go wrong. Set yourself a 10-year plan. Be prepared for rainy days, because they're coming, but stick the course on your general buy-to-let investment. Buy in the right area. Don't get lost off on comparable evidence. If you are staring at comparable evidence, make sure your comparable evidence is the same as the house that you're buying. Because sometimes I see people staring at comparable evidence, David, and it's a cottage versus a house. Like, you're buying a cottage, you're not buying a house. All the time, So get that 100% right. Be prepared for headaches. Be prepared for down valuations, but steer the course, because it will generally all slot into place. If you feel like it's gone wrong, it's generally gone right. Yeah. So I think you just need to start off vanilla. Like, I'd love to say it to somebody, I want you to jump into a big commercial development. Then it goes wrong. If you're sitting on millions of quid's worth of pork, then it's a different conversation. But if you just... But then you say, I still wouldn't advise it, because you still need that knowledge base, don't you? 100%. That's what buy-to-lets have given me, and you as well. You've got to start off at the beginning. Of course it does. It gives you that foundation. Once you've got a few grand a month net cash flow coming in, start taking a few risks and trying other things, can't you? So start off with your vanilla stuff, your buy-to-let, and stick to your local area. I like to be able to drive past the house that I rented out, just on a Friday night or something. Yeah. Just have a look, is everything all right? Have I got a good tenant? But a bad tenant's not a bad thing, because it'll just learn you lots of lessons. Yes, it will, yeah. Got a few of them lessons. Yeah. And one last thing, mate. If you could go back to day one and start all over again, is there anything you'd do differently? No. Nothing at all? Not at all. Because I wouldn't be where I'm at now without all them early lessons. I'll be totally lying if I says, I would change this, this and this. But I wouldn't have knew this and this without that and that. Like, I would love to, like, industrials read out now. Like, obviously we've got industrial. Yeah, seems to be, doesn't it? We've got, like, pass and go driving school and stuff like that. Right. We've got some really good, like, tenants, in our commercial stuff. We want, like, a retail park on the outskirts of Berkeley. That's really good. But 10 years ago it wasn't, David. So, and how long have you owned that? 10 years in January. Right. Yeah. So you bought when things weren't so good. Yeah, we actually bought it off a company we used to work with. Right. But that's hot, but things come hot at a different time. And I feel like if I hadn't done me buy-to-lets, me service accommodation, everything else, I would give an answer now, but it would just be totally imperative, because I wouldn't know how to carry out that job if I started today. If I just woke up with all the knowledge that I've got now, what would I do? I would jump straight into semi-commercial. Yeah. On a bigger scale. Yeah. But I'm there through all that. It's like fighting club shows or playing football on Sunday League, then playing, you move up leagues. Yeah. That's which way I look at it. Yeah. You just get more experience, you spend more money, you take bigger calculated risks. Yeah. And you don't learn when things are going well, do you? No, you definitely don't. And you learn more when it's going wrong. Yeah. So like sometimes when things has gone right, like enjoy it. Yeah. Because it's few and far between. But I'm not meaning to put people off the property journey, David, but I just feel like the downsides to property is not elaborated on enough. Like, because it doesn't sell courses. Exactly, but like I know, like, everyone's got them at a few quid, but I'd want someone to come to me course and get value out of it. Yeah. Not like, oh, look at me, I've just bought a property for 50 pence or a quid. I'm now I've gained £1 million quid, but you haven't gained
you haven't gained a dime, you know what I mean? You haven't even started the second fix of your programme planning of works.
Exactly. Anything could happen between now
Exactly.
and then.
I'd rather be open because people can still make money by telling the truth.
Of course they can.
But I firmly believe education is a big part of the property. So I'm slightly contradicting myself, but I just feel like educators could be a lot more honest.
No, I think you're right, because if you stood up and you were telling people about the downsides of property, you'd be doing so, but you'd be also saying, but look at how much money I've made.
Aye.
So I've got all these downsides, but look where I am today.
Yeah.
I've still been able to do it.
Yeah.
So from that angle, I think it's perfect.
Yeah, so I always want honesty, but sometimes I expect not too much. I would want my results to be relevant, but you can only hold someone's hand so much. They've inevitably got to come up against the headaches that come with property.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And like, what's the main headaches that you would honestly say you come up against with property?
Lending.
Yeah, probably overpaying, under budgeting, and down valuations would be my top three where I think would really hurt you. And if you can get them right, like properties...
It's the same for buy-to-let
it
and
is,
the bigger stuff, actually. Yeah.
They're all the same, just on a bigger scale.
Of course they are, yeah.
You know, so it's just like you see it. It's all about getting them numbers right
Yeah.
and not getting carried away and getting lost off because you've been on a fancy course and you think you can jump into commercial development. You need another area.
Yeah.
We can all buy a conditional offer property for £500,000. What's the NGDV? You know, I see people who buy commercial developments lend money that haven't even getting planning. They've started carrying out works with somebody else's pork. He needs to be locked up. You shouldn't be involved in property. You're a buffoon.
Yeah.
You're not a knout.
Yeah. I know someone doing that exact thing right now.
See, I didn't know people who was doing it. I'm guessing, but I physically, like, I'm not guessing. I physically see it.
Yeah.
I've just getting this. You're getting planning passed. Nah, you didn't need planning.
Yeah.
Why,
Idiot.
Are you mental?
What, building control do you say?
Exactly.
Yeah.
When you're going to refinance, give us your final sign off. I haven't got one of them.
Yeah.
It's been like, so what you're
got
going to say?
nothing, have you?
You've got now. So
Your building's worth nothing.
You've spunk your time. You've spunk your investors' money. If you haven't got a clue, you're a fraudster.
Yeah.
See you later.
Yeah.
They don't want to work with you. You haven't got a clue what you're doing. You might think you do, but now you're going to go and buy another development, lend some more pork to satisfy him or her, to buy yourself some more time.
Yeah.
Oh, man. Get a job. That's what
See
I'm
it
saying.
though, don't you? It's ridiculous, actually. But
it's like, stop messing, man. Like, do the job properly and you'll be a successful kid, because that doesn't last long.
no.
It just eventually catches up on you.
Yeah.
Game over.
Yeah. 100%.
Right.
Mate.
New company set up, battle lending off investors again.
That's what it is. Yeah. Yeah. You
It's
see it
not
all
for
the
me.
time.
It's not for me, that, Chief.
Mate, I could sit and for another
sorry.
5 hours and ask you more questions, because it's been fascinating, and I'm sure the listeners will be massively inspired.
No,
mate.
thank you very
Not
much
just
for
saying
today.
that was brilliant. So really appreciate your time today, mate. So where's the best place for people to find you? Instagram?
I've just set up, I've been on Instagram a few months, just starting to put some reels and that together. Just basically showing people the stuff I'm on with, and some of the things that I've been up to, and like where I'm currently starting. But you'll see a lot of me involved in the city centre of Sunderland, where I think you can buy really cheap properties, and the GDVs look good. But it's like, you see, they've got to get them, haven't they?
Yeah.
They're not beaters to it.
No, that's one thing.
I think there's enough for everybody, David.
There is,
I honestly think that I think the North East is a hell of a place to buy.
Yeah.
Not just because I'm from the North East. I genuinely think it is.
It's an easy place to make money, I think.
It is, aye. But no, you'll catch us on DARRYL CULLERTON Property Investors on Instagram.
Brilliant, mate. Thank you very much.
No, thank you for having us. I loved it.
No worries at all, pal. So if you are listening or watching online, please do give us a like, a follow, and a share. It really does help. Until next time, take care.